Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Good morning, one and all. Welcome to our special Morning Dew edition of the Dew Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular in the land where it is not morning. It is afternoon.
It is. Well, it's never morning in England. It's always rainy and damp and gray and cold.
Yes, that's true.
That's how it is here on the ground. It's been raining the last 2 days. And I have a little cold.
It was rainy yesterday for day 2 of Day X, which is going to be the bulk of our coverage this morning, although we do have some other stuff that we are going to get to as well later in the program. Let us know how Russell's volume is, folks. We're without Jake today, and the travel gods have claimed yet another microphone. So
fucking the thing broke. The jack broke.
Yeah.
For no apparent reason. It just all of a sudden I was plugging the thing in and it just collapsed into the mic.
Yeah, so that's why his volume is a little off, but let us know if you can hear him because we can adjust as we go. And we are without Jake because it is the morning show. And so just let us know if there's any audio issues. So far, audio is fine according to the YouTube chat. 524 of you lovely folks in the YouTube chat. 367 filing in over on Rumble. That's what we love to see. So thank you very much. Let's juice the algorithm this morning. Let's hit that like button. Let's get some people in here. We're working double against the algorithm today because not only are we on in the morning, but we're covering Julian Assange, which really gets you suppressed in the algorithm big time. So
it really does, man.
It really does. I mean, I'm convinced. I'm convinced of that. I'm
putting up on Facebook, and any kind of travel photos on Facebook usually will get a lot of engagement. Yo, man, I put in those Assange pictures. Hardly anybody sees those posts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking to Misty about this on our show on Tuesday. Like, it's not for lack of interest. Like, people in our space are interested in this story.
No,
and
I was doing some math.
Yeah, they asked us to come here. And I was doing some math. And when you look at the reach that these Assange videos get, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm going to do an experiment. So I'm going to drop a clip later in the afternoon of Claire Daly and Mick Wallace speaking at the Day X hearings. But I'm not going to mention Assange or Day X in the thumbnail. And I'm going to see, just as an experiment, how that one does in contrast, right? I'm curious because we got to run some experiments. So, but I mean, it's to me, I'm sold on it. Misty says it happens all the time.
Yeah, like we have exclusive footage of two of the most popular people in the left space talking about one of the most popular causes in the left space.
Right.
Like those clips should be off the hook.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So hit that like button. Help us out a little bit. We are without Jake, but I do have my Rumble screen open, so I can do my best to field Rumble rants as we go. So thank you guys all very much for being here. We're getting up to close to 666 of you in the YouTube chat, so we should be able to hit that pretty soon. But before we get into our Day X coverage, Russell shot a lovely video that I had the pleasure of waking up to this morning outside the Airbnb of friend, supporter, patron of the show, Ian Puttick, who was very kind to save our ass and put Russell up in an Airbnb with Wi-Fi. So Russell, we're going to play this video. It's really great. Ian is a wonderful guy. So we're going to play this video in a minute, but do you want to set this up?
Yeah, I have stayed in Airbnbs in India, in Costa Rica, in Nicaragua. I have never fucking seen an Airbnb that did not have Wi-Fi, ever, anywhere that I've ever stayed. Multiple places in Greece, Greek islands, all over. So the description of this place never mentioned it. Now, yes, when you get into the amenities, it was crossed out, but you see all kinds of weird shit in amenities. A lot of times in the amenities, hot water is crossed out. I actually contacted someone. You have no hot water? They were like, oh yeah, no, we have hot water. I don't know why it says that. It would never even occur to you. And, they were very cute. 3 paragraphs of description, nothing about not having any Wi-Fi. So I get there, I'm like, so what's the Wi-Fi? Oh, we're sorry, we don't have any. Fucking assholes. And then they didn't want to give me a refund, but, New York Jew, I took care of that fucking fast enough and got the fucking refund. But Ian, she didn't know what she was dealing with. So Ian had offered this place, but I had already booked that one. And I, just last minute, I was like, hey man, is that still available? We need Wi-Fi to do the show. This place has no Wi-Fi. And I got lucky because apparently this place is usually booked to the rafters, and I can see why. It's beautiful. You'll see when we show the video. And he very generously not only gave the Airbnb, this place is like stocked. I've never seen an Airbnb stocked like this. And he assures me it's always like this for every guest. Bacon, eggs, all kinds of cereals, coffee, methods of brewing coffee that Americans are completely ignorant of that I had to learn. I don't know why they can't just get a Mr. Coffee in other countries. It's not just England. I mean, I've never seen all these other countries I've been to. I've never seen that setup. Just the coffee maker, the drip coffee, the pot, it drips in and I've never seen that outside of the United States. I don't know why. It tastes better. And it's easier than most of these other methods. I don't know why they don't use those anywhere else. Maybe someone can explain it to me.
All right. Well, let's meet Ian, Russell's generous Airbnb host now, and then we'll get into our Day X coverage.
So, as some of you know, I got screwed on the Airbnb I was staying at. It was a beautiful location, but no fucking Wi-Fi, which they really obscured in the listing, or I wouldn't have stayed there. Like, look, I've stayed in Airbnbs in India, in Costa Rica, in Nicaragua. I have never, ever seen an Airbnb without Wi-Fi. It's never come up. So, one of our channel patrons had offered this place after I already booked that. So, by, threatening the woman with calling Airbnb, she gave me a refund, and I took him up on the offer. So this is Ian Puttick, who apparently is friendly with George Galloway.
Only a little bit, a lot.
A lot? Yeah. So you've been out campaigning for him,
I have.
huh?
I've been up north doing my bit to help George. He's an important voice in politics. And what I always say to people, whether you like him or disagree with him or whatever, what you want is debate. And from debate, you can stimulate progressive ideas. And George gives you a stimulation for debate. He's a fantastic debater. And that's what we need in politics. At the moment, it's all vanilla. It's all the same.
I can see you're campaigning for him. You got the.
Well, I'm a former Jehovah's Witness. I'm used to knocking on doors.
I was gonna say, as somebody who knocked on plenty of doors for Bernie, who campaigned for AOC, I know when you got your patter down. That's the campaign patter you just gave me. You may not agree with him on everything, but listen, he's a good one. All right, so All right, so by the way, for those of you who've never been here, yeah, the Doctor Who phone box thing. Honestly, the last time I was here, they still had them, but I didn't expect them to still be here.
Yeah,
because they took them out in New York.
Yeah, well, it's just a phone box. There's no phone in there. It's just a box.
No, but they have some back in central London that are. They still have the phone boxes, which is kind of amazing to me. I don't know who's using those in the age of the cell phone, but they still have it. So you can see this is. So what's with the old bakery sign?
So this is a historic muse. So this first unit.
All right. So like, assume Americans are poorly educated. So what is a muse? I mean, that's why we like Donald Trump, because he loves the poorly educated, and that's us. What's a muse?
So a muse is a historic, small, as you can see from the size of it. This would be called a muse. It's not a road. It's not a street. It's not an avenue. It's just.
So like a lane.
Yeah, lane.
Is it always historic?
Generally, yes. Yeah. No, so there's no such thing as muses being built today.
I gotcha. Okay. All right.
So where you're staying, this is the grain store. So this was the grain store that stored, obviously, the grain for the bakery. Next door, the double units there was originally a bakery. And then the very first unit was the horse and cart delivery service for the bakery. This is back in the sort of late 18th century. I bought this, and I discovered when we were renovating it, because it was all run down. Well, when the middle unit, which is an office for my plumbing company, because we're plumbers.
You're plumbers. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, we're plumbers.
Oh, leak busters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
I see. All right. You know, I shouldn't have broadcast that. They're gonna send you a cease and desist now.
Well, we've had all that.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, we found out that when this was a bakery over 100 years ago, the bakers made illegal gin there. We took down the original family descendants. We've got a photograph of a little boy. See where the red car is in the distance? We've got a photograph. We'll see it when we're inside. A little boy standing there with his granddad on a penny farthing, where that red car is, and we've recreated that picture.
And again, for our American friends, what's a penny farthing?
You're going to see a picture of it. It's the easiest way to describe it. It's
all right, and so now this is the boy that haunts the property.
I couldn't possibly comment. So I'll show you the pictures.
All right. So as you can see, this is a pretty sweet setup. This place, it's got a whole, and not only that, I've been rescued from having to go out for breakfast in this culinary wasteland they call Britain. So fully stocked. And this is actually the kind of shit I would usually make for breakfast. Anyway.
And there's some of my gin, because we tracked down the original baker's family that made the illegal gin, and we've resurrected the gin. So next door we make the gin.
So you make the gin the way they made it?
Absolutely. We haven't changed it. And it's supplied to Buckingham Palace, the House of Lords, Fortnum and Masons, Harrods, all the big posh. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we supply the Ministry of Defence, NATO. We've had NATO down many times.
Really? All right. So you're gonna hook us up with some interviews at the House of Lords. We'll smuggle in the gin, and then I'll pull out the phone.
So here's
no.
Here's where the red car was parked.
That contract.
Here's where the red car was parked, in that gap. See the little boy standing outside? Yeah. There's my little boy. We tracked that little boy down. That little boy's still alive in his 90s.
Oh, so not the one that haunts the property.
No comment. He gave us the original gin. That's his granddad on the penny farthing. On that, the only way I can describe it. It's a torture bicycle. If you sit on that,
so those are those old Edwardian bicycles.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I did not know that.
So how our gin is served at Buckingham Palace is one basil leaf, slice of pink grapefruit, Mediterranean tonic, and obviously our gin. So there's a few treats for you while you're here.
All right. So when I'm trashed for the show today,
it'll be my fault.
It'll be your fault.
Not your fault for drinking it. It's my fault.
They can blame you when I go on wasted and screaming about the king. Charles. So how do people feel about Charles? I'm going to show the second floor here. Look at this. This is very, very nice. And it seems like a place that would be haunted by a 5-year-old boy, doesn't it? It's kind of got that vibe, you know, but in a good way. In a good way. Kind of like what was that? What was that haunted movie with the kind of Shyamalan twist with Nicole Kidman that was set in England in World War One?
Yeah, I know,
you know what movie I'm
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
The
movie.
Others.
All right. So how do people feel about Charles?
Good question. It's a customer, so I couldn't possibly comment.
Right. See, I'm getting you in trouble here already. All right, Ian, man. Thank you very much for coming to the rescue.
It's a pleasure.
On such last-minute notice.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Keaton,
Awesome.
Keaton's welcome here. So he knows that.
And you know, if you can get him out of that one meal town, that'll be quite an accomplishment. But now that he's seen this, maybe he'll bring the wife and kids.
Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate have both emailed. They're going to be staying here.
They are going to stay
at
here.
some point, yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. So Matt, Max, Keaton, as you can see, Ian. I mean, you never can tell, but he doesn't seem like a serial killer. And if I were going to disappear, he probably wouldn't have gone on camera beforehand, you know? So now, unfortunately for some of you, you're probably going to get me back in one piece. But very cool situation. And much thanks to our viewer, Ian. Now, this does not mean don't start sending us a bunch of emails with your address. I had to be in England. I'm not coming to Kentucky or wherever you live. Although, if I have to be there, drop us a line. We are going to Chicago, although I think we're going to impose on Kit for the Chicago trip. We'll see. I think he only has one bed, but we're going to do the thing you do when you're like a teenager and you sleep at your friend's house where, you know, one sleeps facing one way and one, you know, you got the feet in your face. Yeah, we're gonna do that with Kit. We already talked about it. So, all right. Thank you, Ian.
Pleasure.
Round of applause for Ian. What a guy. What a guy. He's working now, right? He's not around to drop in?
Yeah, he's not here. I couldn't figure out how to use the electric kettle, so he sent someone. He sent someone to show me how to use the electric kettle.
Ooh.
Yeah, so in response to some of what's in the chat, listen, I'll grant you this. I am a crude man, but my music is not. Yeah, my coffee taste is defined by my Americanness.
There you go.
You know, I personally like a pot of drip coffee. And I know, like, you go anywhere else in the world, they're like, so you want drip coffee then? You know, they can't believe that you want that. But yes, I definitely have that taste. Also, I knew our viewers would know. That movie is called The Others.
Yeah, The Others. And I know somebody said that was by Amenabar. Yeah, no, he didn't say it was by Shyamalan. It has a Shyamalan-like twist at the end. Yes. Which it does.
That twist is like total Shyamalan kind of a plot device.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, some said it was derivative of The Sixth Sense for exactly that reason. Because not only is it done in the same fashion, it's essentially the same twist.
It's kind of the same twist.
Kind of the same. The same thing. All right, so big up for Ian. If any of you guys are in London, check out his Airbnb. That was a great little infomercial for Ian's Airbnb, which is the least we could do for him for bailing us out. But great on camera, too. A lot of natural charisma coming from Ian Puttick there. So that was amazing. All right. So Ian got his 15 minutes. Go ahead.
Listen. Yes, I did not know how to use the electric kettle, but that does not mean my opinions about international geopolitics and very complicated economic matters are not valid.
There you go.
Okay. Just because I can't use an electric kettle, that doesn't invalidate all of my opinions.
Let's see what we got here. Patrick Donahue, like Iraq, never let them forget the destruction of Gaza when they lecture on morals about anywhere else, still blocking a ceasefire. Sociopaths.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yep.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay. Now that Ian's got his 15 minutes of fame, we're going to give some of you guys your 15 minutes of fame. Russell ran into quite a few dissidents on the streets of London outside the Royal Courts of Justice. And so we are going to play our next piece of footage here, which is Russell mixing it up with some of you guys. So if you're watching now, there's a chance you might see yourself on screen. Here's Russell outside the Royal Courts.
All right, so we are live here at the Royal Courts of Justice with a bunch of people who have the poor taste to actually watch our show. You got you. Okay, so all right. So what I really want to ask here, come together a little bit. So, you know, you have this Irish hate speech law pending. I got to tell you, and let me ask actual British people. Maybe I'm making assumptions. I have shirts that I did not bring because I was afraid I'd get detained at the airport from some of the things that I see over here. Like I've got a like NPC shirt I've got a shirt with the NPC meme that says I support the current thing, that has like the jab, and it has you know, all kind Ukrainian flag. I was like, man, I better not bring that. Like, they got hate speech laws over there. I saw a few months ago they dragged an autistic girl out of her house. I don't know if you saw that story. You know what I'm talking about?
There's too many. There's just too many.
So what's going on over here with that? Is that just I'm seeing very selective coverage?
I think that's just the fringes. If I'm honest, if you challenge power, then they've got no worries about using it. Outside of that, like the country seems very much the same as it did 10 years ago. But at those fringes, it's coming in. So if you had, a show which was 10 times the size, I would be very worried. Yeah, because you would be on all their list probably. Yeah. Like if you saw Ben Greenwald and he came over with that t-shirt.
The biggest changes are clearly from social media. Like I literally get banned from social media for like a week at a time every time I say anything that's truthful at all. Like, it's totally insane. Like, I can barely use Facebook or any of these things anymore. I never used Twitter till recently, and then I decided I may as well start using this.
Look, they're coming for you. They're coming for you already.
I know, that was a bit odd, wasn't it? You had a little look, didn't it?
I was like, that's it.
You're making a great job at the Jimmy Dore show.
Oh, you saw me?
Excellent.
I love
it how you and Aaron Mante and Pasta and these people take over.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for coming here.
Well, it's the most important freedom of speech, freedom of the press case in, I would say, 2 generations since the Pentagon Papers. That was the last thing this significant to freedom of the press. As you can see, a lot of people out here, a lot of action, a lot of press, but our friends here in the UK tell me, just like in the US, this story is largely suppressed. One of them was telling me it was just a footnote in The Guardian today, and not covered the way that it should be, just like in our own fair land. You're on camera.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I watch you on Jimmy Dore.
You don't watch us on Due Dissidence? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We love he the man. He's been going back and forth a lot. Popping in on our show when I'm out there.
Yeah.
But doing his a lot. So what are you doing out here today?
So I'm a medical doctor, and I'm part of the Doctors for Assange group. And I've come to show my support for the release of Julian Assange.
Also, I really wanted to meet you. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. What's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel?
Shout out to Keith.
So where do you watch the show from?
Well, I was watching in Japan, of all places. That's where.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not sure what your analytics say. I might have been the only one.
Now we've got, you know what? Over the last few months, our audience has gone very international. I believe that the majority of our audience now is outside the U.S.
I'm not surprised.
The majority.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask Ian about that, but I could swear I saw like 60%. At one point was overseas.
Okay, I just moved here a couple of weeks ago. I'm so glad I could come here.
You know, it's what they told Michael Moore when he started making his documentaries. That'll never work. Americans don't get irony.
No, they don't.
So that might be why we're doing better. That might be why we're doing better overseas. All right, thank you very much, man. Thank you. Very nice to meet you. All right, so we have a lot of fans over here, apparently, in the UK, and so more importantly, does Julian Assange.
SMS 710.
What's that?
Patreon.
Oh, you're a patron? What's your name?
SMS 710.
All right. Keaton will know that.
Steve, how you doing? All right. I did email you.
Oh, you did?
I said I might be here and I'll pop in and say hi.
All right. Oh, look at the shirt. I love it. I love it. He's sporting the Revolutionary Blackout Network, man. Our friends at RBN.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send this over to Nick and CJ, man. They'll love that.
Yeah. Hopefully, you're gonna do the broadcast this afternoon, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're doing the patron thing.
Yeah.
You can stand right next to me and call in.
Exactly. Well, I haven't exactly got the phone to call in. I'm a bit of an old boy, but
Oh, what? Hang on. Let me. That is. You're like a time traveler with that.
I don't like getting the data out there. You know what I mean?
So what brings you out here for Assange?
I've travelled up this morning from Devon.
Okay.
So just to come up and support Julian, show a bit of solidarity. Hopefully they make the right decision, but I'm not convinced they will. Unfortunately.
Well, how do you think it's going to end up?
Unfortunately, I think it might end up being extradited. I can't see them changing it somehow. I don't think
so. People you would expect to be here. Obviously, Hedges is floating around. But yeah, man. I mean, this should be.
Just going to pause it 1 second for those of you guys who are wondering what this layout is. This is a clip from our patron show. So if you're not a patron, this is what you missed. We went live for about an hour from the Royal Courts on our patron show. So this is a little sneak peek of that.
The biggest event in the Western world right now. And, people are uninformed about it. I can't even say they're misinformed. They're not
look
informed.
over your shoulder. We got a guy sporting some merch. Look over your right shoulder. Sorry. Dyslexic.
Oh, snap.
Oh, right. Look at that. We got an inception going right now. Look at that. That's wild.
All right, hang on. So our friend here.
Hi there. Can you hear me now? Now you can hear me, right?
All right,
you can
so
hear me
you're
now,
live,
right?
man.
Oh wow! Okay.
That's it. Now
Here we are.
Now you're on a list.
That's right.
We're in the city of London. I have been an activist for Julian Assange for the last 4 years, and the reason I am, Julian came on my radar when toxic waste was being dumped in Africa, and the Guardian newspaper had the story and was going to print it, and a company, I think they were called Trafigura, put an injunction and stopped the story from being printed. And I was like, what? Then Julian put the story online on the internet. And I thought, what? And then when I heard Julian got,
yeah, that's why he's in there right now.
Not an arrest.
That and a lot of things like it.
It's not an arrest, it's state kidnapping.
Yeah.
Stop calling it arrest. This is a state kidnapping on behalf of the security state in this country and in America. The two worst security people in the world, by the way. And the sad thing about it, I was born and raised in England, and you're an American. You probably got the same kind of information I got, thinking your country is the greatest country in the world and all that. But the reason I'm here is because...
I figured out that wasn't true pretty early on.
No, but in the back of your mind, you're hoping. Roger Waters talked about his father dying in the Second World War.
Yeah.
This is not what their parents died for. They didn't die for you to be kidnapping people for telling the truth. That's not what they fought in the Second World War for. You are becoming what you said Russia and Germany was.
Exactly.
That other shit.
Exactly.
You understand? Excuse my language, but I'm watching it more authoritarian as it goes on. Julian predicted all this. Kit Byronberg, the journalist coming back from holidays to England, being stopped at the airport in England. His passwords, his computer's taken. You're lucky he didn't get that done.
Honestly, I did not bring my more inflammatory T-shirts intentionally for that reason, including my Roger Waters shirt.
Wow.
I didn't bring it because I was like, man, I'm bringing my press pass. If they see the press pass, maybe they start going through my shit. And then they see my Roger Waters thing, just
England and
keep it
America are
clean.
becoming more authoritarian as the days go on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they used to try and pretend they weren't. Now they're not hiding it no more.
Well, because they're losing legitimacy.
Yes.
Whenever elites lose legitimacy, they clamp down on speech. They clamp down on expression.
And what makes me laugh, they think by censoring indie media like you guys and Jimmy Dore and all that, and great work on Jimmy Dore, by the way. I was really enjoying those. And that nutty Kurt Metzer. Kurt is off the chain. They think by cancelling RT here and all these channels, that we're going to start watching them. They can forget it.
We got another fan.
Oh, hey there. How's it going? Maybe that's why no one's calling in. Is everybody there in person? Is that it? Is the audience all out on the street now? Are all of our viewers out there now?
All right. So what do you want to say to the folks? What do you want to say to the dissidents?
I hadn't thought that far. I'm just saying, tell everyone in London to come out. Yeah.
You're an American, man. What are you doing in this godforsaken wasteland?
Yeah, I can agree with you. I've lived here.
It's reminding me, because I haven't been here in 18 years. It's reminding me how fucking cold and damp and gray it is.
Miserable, yes. And this is a sunny day.
It's brutal here in New York, if it's any consolation. It is
I
brutally
just want to say,
cold
I
out
do
today.
like the program, and I'm glad you guys are here covering it. And we wonder, there's every news media outlet in the world here, and you'll probably never see any of the footage. So you guys are putting it out, so good for you. Good on you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're doing our best, and thanks to WikiLeaks for hooking us up. All right. There's some mixing it up with the dissidents on streets of London. Fun. That was just a small sampling of people who approached you.
There's a lot of people, that I didn't get on camera. I had a really nice, his name was Peter. He's a $30 a month patron. Young kid, Asian guy, and he was talking to me in a coffee shop. I was just grabbing a coffee. It was like the only way to stay warm out there. Yesterday was brutal, man, with the rain. It was raining all day. It was really rough. But he approached me and he said the show has inspired him to speak out. He was also saying, this was interesting, that his parents were libs, basically, that his family were libs. But he was saying all of his friends are left, like legit left, not libs. And it was very frustrating to the white people because his friends were Latino and black. And it was the white people he knew who were libs. But in his experience, Asian people, black people, Latino, they're much further to the left than that. And that was a lot of what he'd be fighting with his family about. I felt like it was a kind of intimate moment, so I didn't want to pull out the camera.
Right.
But man, it was very cool. There was an Australian photojournalist covering it who was really excited to see me, who's watching the show. So it was very cool.
Yeah,
it's strange. I asked some people about it because I said, there's no equivalent. Even when we have British commentators like Piers Morgan that are known in America, they're talking about American politics.
Right.
They're not talking about British politics. And, the answer I got back again and again was, well, we're the lapdogs of the United States, so we have to pay attention to what America's doing because it's going to come here next.
Right. All right, we'll take a super chat here from Jose Alvarado. Fish and chips money for Russell. Thanks for covering this. Thank you. Thank you guys. You guys, as Russell says at the end of one of these videos, you guys are what made this possible. Absolutely. So thank you guys.
This is all you.
For doing this. Absolutely. All you guys. 100%. All right. So we got some more Day X footage to play. We're going to play some footage from the march and the rally.
I'm just going to say, for future projects, there are some really interesting things happening on Caribbean islands. So
Yeah, there we
if
go.
you want
Right,
to
yeah.
send us to a Caribbean island, maybe next time we'll find some very significant political event. I'm just saying, man. This is a cold, damn
Yeah.
waiting country.
Yeah. Hey, when are we going to overthrow one of these nice, Caribbean island countries? Yeah, when is there going to be a coup down
Right.
there? Can the CIA get on that? Because we'd like to go down there and cover it, for
That's it.
history's sake.
I mean, we'll make that sacrifice.
Yeah, Jamaica. Yeah, why doesn't the CIA try and coup Jamaica? That would be fun
Right.
to do. We can go and cover that. Yeah.
Right.
If Mike
Why-
Pompeo, if you get hired again, put that at the top of your list there. Okay.
I mean, look, Julian shouldn't be detained anywhere, but hey, Aruba
right.
doesn't do detention. Come on.
Right. Yeah, we got to go here for detention. Exactly. Somebody asked, how do we become a patron? We will put our shout out scroll up in a while, but if you are interested in supporting the show and making trips like this possible, patreon.com/do dissidents is the link for the person who asked in the chat. And like I said, we'll put our supporter scroll up in a few minutes. But before we play the March footage and the evening rally footage, because there were a few really, really powerful speeches at the evening post-March rally, which we're going to play. And by the way, there's plenty more footage up on X now, and we'll be publishing more to the YouTube channel in the coming days.
1 second. The computer got unplugged.
Oh, all right, no problem. But here are two interviews that we're going to play before we play the March footage. These are brief interviews with some people. So the first is John Freese. So, Russell, you want to tell us who John Freese is? He was emceeing the rally. He was sort of emceeing all of the different speeches. So do you want to set this up for a minute?
Yeah, he was really he's a big, very well-known activist here in the UK. And this is another thing I gotta say, and just to be clear, if anyone's taking me seriously, I feel very fortunate to be here. I'm just joking.
Yeah, we're just busting balls.
The weather is terrible, but I mean, yeah, of course, it's great to be doing something you're passionate about wherever you are. To really feel that you're doing what you believe in, and to be supported doing that is amazing. So John was really the glue, organizing everything, and he was the stage manager of the entire Assange demonstration, getting the speakers together and on and off stage and organizing the march. So he was he was great, and tireless, and always cheerful. Always in a good mood, which is hard when you're doing that kind of very high pressure coordination for an event like this. So yeah, I interviewed him a little bit.
Yeah, and this was part of our patron stream as well. You just happened to catch up to him while we were on with the patrons. So this is about 4 minutes, but enjoy this one.
I'm organising the demonstration here today for Assange, and I'm also one of the co-founders of the Stop the War Coalition in Britain.
Have you been involved in the anti-Gaza protests?
Yes, I'm one of the organisers of the demonstrations that have been taking place in London. Well, since October, we organised our 9th national demonstration last Saturday.
And he's been, just so everybody knows, he's been emceeing the speeches
the biggest of them was on the 11th of November, which was nearly 1 million people. But they've all been, there hasn't been one smaller than 150,000. Last Saturday, it was 250,000 people. And I can't think of a time in British history, not going back to the suffragettes or the Chartists in the 19th century, when there's been such a sustained series of mass mobilization.
Okay. We were talking to a journalist earlier. And he says the journalists have been put in a room where there's no sound of the trial, and there are only 12 people in the actual court.
Well, I'm a member of the National Union of Journalists, and I applied for court access, so I was in the court this morning. And there are 2 courtrooms put aside, courtroom 5, courtroom 3, in which there is streaming from the main courtroom. And in the courtroom I was in, courtroom 3, the audio feed broke down completely. The judge actually had to stop the hearing so that they could put that right.
Okay, so you're saying it wasn't intentional, and you're saying it got fixed.
I don't know whether it was a cock-up or a conspiracy, but If it was a conspiracy, these people are too malignant to be running something. If it was a cock-up, they're too stupid to be running something.
How do you think the court is going to rule? Because this is the same court that overturned.
I just don't know. I mean, of course, you have to say that from the look of them, it's not the most hopeful situation we've been in. But surprises happen. Only fools call the outcome of the election strikes and court cases before you get the result.
Aside from the Assange case, it seems to me, from my American perspective and what I hear, like there's kind of a full court press to limit free speech in England right now.
There's a massive attack on civil liberties. The government is bringing forward legislation to limit protest on the street, to limit trade union action, but we already have the harshest anti-union laws in Europe. There's attacks on freedom of speech. It's a very, very serious situation. The arrests on the Palestine demonstrations are absolutely outrageous. So yeah, we've got a fight on our hands. That's for sure.
Now, what about? I heard they're introducing a law that you could get arrested for having memes on your phone.
I haven't heard that, but they are introducing a law saying you can't climb up on a war memorial because one group of protesters did that in one demonstration months ago. And I mean, I've been joking with friends that if we call a demonstration with people dressed as clowns, they'd outlaw dressing up as a clown.
Right. All right. So what can people do to get involved?
Well, go to the Free Assange website and the Defend Assange website in the United States. Sign up to the newsletter. You'll see all the actions there. There's many, many ways you can join in. And I always say mass campaigns are a mosaic of small acts. Nothing you can do is too small. If you just write a letter to your representative, that's fine. If you just repost something on social media, that's fine. Come to a demonstration, organize a meeting. It all adds to mass pressure, and that's what we need.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're muted.
Apologize, folks. Yeah, that was John Reese. Wonderful guy. He really put in a ton of work there. He emceed all of the speeches, and it was great of him to take some time for us. Go ahead.
The whole team was really great, and I must say, you could tell a lot about a cause by the people who are attracted to it. Everyone was so down to earth and relatable and approachable, and just
nobody waved the cowbell in your face.
You know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
You go to these kind of lib events, and even things I support, like Planned Parenthood, right? I support reproductive rights for women, but it's a cause the libs tend to take up, right? Because it has no economic component. It has no challenge to the establishment component to it. Those are the causes they gravitate towards. And yeah, you're going to meet a lot of neurotic people you don't want to deal with. Like, I could only imagine what the inner circle, which is basically what I was dealing with. I was dealing with the main people around Stella who are coordinating and dealing with, this world historical event. I can only imagine what the people who say organize the Women's March would be like if you were dealing with them. Like, what kind of just weird, off-putting, neurotic, narcissistic behavior you would get from people running something like that. And these people, everyone was so nice and so cool and so warm and so open, including Stella. She obviously had a million things. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with her, but what little time I did, everyone was very cool. Everyone that I dealt with involved in this was very cool, including the people in the crowd. No cowbells.
All right, well,
not a cowbell in sight. Even in the drum circle, they didn't have a cowbell.
That's right. Even in the drum circle, there was no cowbell.
No cowbell.
No cowbell in the drum circle, where, if you're in a drum circle, it can't hurt to have a little cowbell, right?
In the drum circle. Use a little more cowbell.
You could always use a little more cowbell.
I could have used a little more cowbell.
The drum circle. That's a note for next time. Could have used a little more cowbell in the drum circle. Okay, next interview is with Kristen Harvinson. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right. That is a brutal name to pronounce, but very nice guy, very kind to give you some time here under the media tent. So here's Russell catching up with the editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks.
Okay, so we are here with, and pronounce your name because I'm going to murder it.
Kristin Harvinson.
Yeah, so you did not want me saying that. He is the editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks. So has this had a chilling effect on people who are willing to submit to WikiLeaks?
I think it has had a chilling effect on journalism worldwide, and because in this case, unfortunately, Americans have led by example, and others have followed suit. So the attack on journalists and the attack on journalism has increased. So the damage is already done. The environment has changed quite a bit since 2010-11 in terms of technology and the protection of secret documents, if I may. And it is also the chilling effect of the horrendous attack on whistleblowers who have been hit by the Espionage Act in the United States and sent very, very serious prison sentences. So all this combined together has had a very serious chilling effect overall, and that applies to WikiLeaks as well.
What's your sense of how things are going in the courtroom?
I was not. I have to admit that when it started yesterday, I was almost convinced that this was just a facade, an excuse to make show that this was some kind of justice being handed down here. But after this day and a half, I am a little bit more of a hope, because at least the judges seem to be attentive. They were listening to the American lawyer this morning. They were asking sharp questions, and the American lawyer did not have any answer. So there is a glimpse of hope that Julian Assange will allow some appeal. So we'll have to stick to that hope. But overall, of course, this entire process is obfuscating the real issue at hand. This is just never have been taking place at the first should never have started. It is a farce.
Now, what do you say? I was watching PBS's coverage yesterday, and they had two people who straight out said Julian's not a journalist, he's a hacker, and one who conceded that, but felt that they shouldn't be prosecuting the journalistic charges. How do you answer that?
Well, I mean, for heaven's sake, if that would have been the case, he would be the most awarded actor with journalistic awards. He has received more journalistic awards than any journalist that is working today. So it would be rather strange if all the journalist unions, the entities who have been showering Julian with journalistic awards, including the highest journalistic award, in Australia, the Pulitzer of Australia, the Walkley Award, would be throwing that at a hacker. You know, this is or an activist. So this is absurd. This is a notion, even that has been contradicted in United Kingdom courts and in U.S. courts, which actually call him journalists, and the documents are there. So this is a notion that is straight out of the talking points of the American administration. It runs so hollow. It would be really scary if we were to admit to the reality where the U.S. administration or their cronies would be the one who decides who is a journalist or not. Would we want that world? So trying to strip him of the journalistic credential is just a tactic they use, PR propaganda attempt to make it easier to throw him in prison.
And what will this mean for freedom of the press if Assange is extradited to the U.S.?
We'll have a devastating blow. It's absolutely unthinkable what that would mean. It's very simple. If an Australian journalist that publishes in Europe is
journalist thrown in prison in the United States, not a single journalist anywhere in the world is safe. So it is a huge and serious attack on the journalists worldwide.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So there he is, Christian Harafinson. That's what somebody in the chat recommended I pronounce it, and I think that's right. I think that's what Misty was saying. She knows how to pronounce his name. She knows how to pronounce his name, and shout out to Misty for joining me on Tuesday. Yeah,
this is her specialty.
This is her specialty. Exactly. And so yeah, so great job on those interviews. We got plenty more to show you guys. So this next piece is sort of our big piece. It's about 20 minutes. We have some footage from the march and then some terrific speeches from the post-march rally. So they had a lot of speeches because they would basically speak before the hearing each of the 2 days, at the lunch break, and then after the hearing. Now, after the hearing on the second day, they had a march where you had the biggest crowd by far, it looked like to me at least, of any of the gatherings for the speeches. And so we're going to hear speeches from Richard Medhurst, Craig Murray, Stella Assange, of course, Ben Westwood, who is the son of the famous fashion designer Vivienne Westwood. They have, a very posh sort of shop in London, which they redecorated with their Free Julian stuffs. And so we got some great stuff to play here.
Actually, tomorrow I'm going to have some time. I'm going to try to get over there when I go back down into the central London.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're actually going to go visit that shop? That'll be awesome. Awesome. I'm sure they'd love to. They would love to see you there.
Tomorrow's my big Tower of London day, so
beautiful.
I'll make some time for that.
Good. Oh, excellent. That'll be great. That'll be wonderful. We do want to shout out our Patreon members, our paid Substack subscribers, and our paid Locals members. You guys did make this trip possible, and so a couple of you guys in the chat have asked how and where can we sign up. You could sign up patreon.com/do dissidents. Like I said, you guys are the backbone of the show. Without you guys, there is no way Russell would be in London right now. Absolutely no way whatsoever. And so patreon.com //do dissidents, whatever your preference.
You are basically our employers now. We are employed by you.
Yeah.
We work for you. You are our bosses. You wanted us here. Here we are.
Here we are putting in the time. All right. So patreon.com /do dissidents. You can also sign up as a paid Substack member, dodissidents.substack.com. If you're watching on Rumble now, you can join our locals by clicking that join button right underneath the video screen, dodissidents.locals.com. For everybody else, thanks to everyone who has signed up. In addition to the good karma that comes with supporting this work, you also get your name up in lights here on the show credits. You get call-in access to our post-show Q&As every Sunday evening, and access to 2 supporter-exclusive live streams per month. You guys got a sneak peek of what those shows are like. We use some of our footage from the Patreon stream in these first couple of video montages here. So you get 2 extra shows per month. And you guys are the backbone of the show. Like I said, you are the reason we were able to go, as well as our GoFundMe donors as well. So big shout out to everybody who pitched into our GoFundMe. You guys covered the expenses of the trip, which was fantastic of you. That's why we were able to do that. But on top of that, our patrons, like I said, you're the ones who give us the time to do it, because we do work for you guys. We are a member-driven program here, and so thank you all so very much for your support.
We don't speak out enough about kink shaming. So I just want to say, Robert, hey man, if our kink is to think of ourselves as owned by over 43,000 people,
yeah,
that's not for you to criticize.
Yeah, that's our business.
That's our business. Whatever gets you through the night.
Whatever gets you through the night. Indeed. Okay, so we got one more piece of footage to play from Day X. This is the finale here. We're going to play a little bit from the march just so you get an idea of the march. And then we're going to hear from some speakers. So, Russell, anything to say to set this up before we start?
Yeah, this was really an all-star lineup of some of the greats. I unfortunately missed the first moment because I was in the process of clearing customs when this started, so I didn't get to see Hedges' speech on the first day.
That was the first day. But we
Yeah,
published that and we showed that on Tuesday because also big shout out to Juan from WikiLeaks for giving us access to their Dropbox. So we were able to publish the WikiLeaks footage from the rally pretty
yeah.
much as it was uploaded.
Juan, he was another one. We interviewed him a little bit. He was a great guy. Yeah, but seeing Mick Wallace and Claire Daly and Stella just every single day. That first day, I know you published that. You could see like she had to take a minute. She had to take a moment.
Yeah, I mean, on top of the emotional weight, just the pressure, the build up to these 2 days,
It's if I had she was gonna give me an interview, but then her like people whisked her away.
She had to go do
But
Tucker.
well, actually, I think that was the night
She did,
that
yeah.
she
She got
yeah,
interviewed by
yeah, I
Tucker
think
Carlson. Yeah.
it was that night. So they just right after she spoke to I don't know, so, one of the main outlets was interviewing her. They just grabbed her. But one of the things that's really fascinated me watching her go through this from up close. It's some people have greatness thrust upon them thing. This is a lot of people seek to be in the spotlight. She's clearly not that person.
Right.
She clearly did not plan to be carrying the weight of what I would argue is the most important freedom of speech legal case, at least since the Pentagon Papers. She handles it with a lot of grace, but it's very obvious when you look at her. Some people get off on the spotlight, and it's a duty. It's a duty, and she carries it with incredible dignity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And her speech is fantastic. We have her whole speech here, which we're going to be showing in just a minute. We'll take a couple super chats here. Dave Delarai, thanks for the $20. When you get back to the U.S. and they ask if you have anything to declare, you should go, yeah, don't go to London. Although it seems like you've had a much better time than Avi did from the movie Snatch. Cheers. Thank you, Dave.
All right, this is a true story. The first time I ever came here, this is the first. I don't count Canada for Americans. It's really not a foreign country. It doesn't count. So the first real foreign country I ever came to was England when I was 19, and so I'm in the pub, and they ring the bell for last call, and I laughed. It was 11 o'clock. I thought it was a joke. I honestly thought it was a joke. I honestly
Right.
thought they were putting everybody off. Oh yeah, last
Yeah,
round.
because in New York, it's
So
4 a.m., yeah.
so I laughed, and the guy next to me was like, "No, that's last round." I was like, "Fucking serious?" Serious? He was like, "Yeah, yeah." And so after that, I go because there's nothing to do but go to Eurotrash clubs after that. I didn't want to do that, so I go to take the tube. They fucking shut at midnight, and I was like, "Hang on, are you serious?" And I'm only 19 and I'm from New York. So, and New Yorkers, on the one hand, were very cosmopolitan. On the other hand, were very provincial because New York is such a thing unto itself that if you grow up there, you can have a very limited understanding of how the rest of the world is, how different other places could be from what you're used to. So, but a guy next to me, when I said, hang on, the bars close at 11 and the train shut down at midnight, and the guy goes, you're very lucky. You're finding out early what it's taken me a lifetime to discover. England fucking sucks.
That's close. They close. There's not the city that doesn't sleep. Nathan Vasile, thank you for the $10. Russell could be eating mushrooms on a beach in Mexico, listening to Fish with Ryan Grimm this weekend. Instead, he's in dreary London doing actual journalism. Indeed.
No, you know what? Honestly, in all seriousness, this is what it is. I've been traveling around a lot as doing journalism as a profession. I must say, and it is partly because it's England, but it definitely, it feels like a job. Like it's a job I'm passionate about, but it definitely feels more like, yes, I'm here on assignment, right? I'm here, like I'm not here on vacation. I'm here on assignment. It's a job. I'm doing work.
Indeed. Shmoo. Thanks, Shmoo. Puerto Rico, U.S. colony had a revolution in 2019. Yeah, we should have started the podcast a year earlier. We could have gone. Thank you, Sparky. When I was in England many decades ago, Pizza Hut was the finest restaurant in London. Probably still is.
See, even I didn't go that far. Yeah. Now, look, my daughter, we are going on Sunday to a restaurant she says is very, very good. Okay, this is the thing. This is the thing with the food. Because people, very often, British people say, no, but there's great food in England. And I'm sure that's true. It's a major city.
Of course,
if you go to a place that has elevated food, it's going to be elevated. This is what I mean, and I think a lot of people mean when they say the food sucks. If you're in New York, you go to the corner deli in the morning, you can get decent food. Right. You can get a decent bagel. The bacon, egg, and cheese will be okay. You can get some food. Thing with England is that whole thing, the food you would normally just go get and grab on the go, sucks. So you can't always go to an elevated place. You're not going to do that in the morning on your way to go cover the Assange trial, right? So the fucking food, if you follow me on X, a lot of people, that got a lot of views actually. I showed the English breakfast that I had the first day because I had to eat something. I knew I was going to be out there all day. Disgusting. Just fucking disgusting. So that's what we mean. Yes, I know there are good places you could go, but no matter where you live, you don't go to a high-end place all the time, right? Most of your food out of your house experience is going to be grab-and-go food.
Right.
And the grab-and-go food here sucks.
Right. You can't just assume a baseline level of decency.
That's
you have to seek it
out. That's it.
Tommy McGee, thanks for the $5. Russell, you should head to DR in Haiti if you want to witness CIA intervention. We actually want to interview
this guy
Danny
really
Shaw.
wants to take over as the new co-host.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Pasta put us in touch with Danny Shaw, who it's been so busy we haven't had a chance to have him on yet, but maybe we should do that sooner than later. But thank you, Tommy McGee. Paul Bushman, media lied about Iraq protest size. Now they just completely black out the story so people don't know. Empire End Times. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Paul. Kenman, great questions, Russ. Shine on forehead is a metaphor for your brilliance and illuminating questions.
Listen, man, I got that. I have that Neanderthal brow line going on. That's what.
Well, also we're dealing with makeshift lighting arrangements in here now.
There's a light right over my head.
Indeed. Right. All right, folks. This video is about 20 minutes. While we play this, I'm going to be gathering those Rumble rants. I know there were a few in the scroll. Now that I have some time, I'll go back and catch those. So we'll take Rumble rants after this. And then we got a few more segments that we're going to do after this, too. But this is about 20 minutes. This is a big piece. This is footage from the march and subsequent speeches.
Hang on. Before you do that.
Yeah, there you
go. Look at that.
Oh, my God. It's
Look
so
at that.
fucking disgusting.
Look at that.
Breakfast.
Beans on a breakfast plate. Yeah, weird. All right, folks. So here is some footage that Russell got from the post-hearing march and subsequent rally with some speakers. So this is about 20 minutes, but some really, really great stuff in here. So we hope you enjoy.
Anyone that's not speaking on the pavement, not in the pavement.
Look at you! Look at all of you! Look at all of you! Wonderful. You know, I got to admit, I'm kind of sick and tired. I've been sitting all day listening to the CIA argue why, Assange is a criminal and exposing war crimes is apparently a criminal offense. How boring and disgusting that they come into our courtrooms and tell us, that they want to give Julian Assange a walloping. They want to prosecute him with U.S. laws, but no protections under U.S. laws. So you can try it with the Extradition Act, with the Espionage Act, but he gets no First Amendment protections. What kind of rubbish is that? What kind of rubbish is that? You need to understand something. A lot of you are holding Palestine flags, and it makes me very happy to see, because these two things are not disconnected. They are connected. The same people that are prosecuting Assange are the same people bombing Gaza. You need to understand that. These are the same corporations, the same banks, the same arms dealers that put Julian Assange in jail. They're the same people that killed 130 journalists in Gaza. This is a war on journalism. And it's not just against Julian, it's against the people covering the case as well. They make it impossible to get in the courtroom. They make it impossible to hear what's going on. How the hell do they have £1 million per missile to shoot down Yemeni drones, but they can't fix the microphones in the bloody courtroom? What the hell is that? Are you serious, man? What is this? They really want us to believe they can't fund the NHS, they can't fix the transport, all of this crumbling, that they got time to go make wars and kill people? Rubbish! Rubbish! Absolute rubbish! You need to understand something as well. This case, this is a violation of UK sovereignty. The Americans have no business coming here. The extradition treaty says you cannot take someone to the United States. That is what the law says. You cannot send someone to the United States for a political offense. You can't do it. And they're playing a double game here. They think that, you know, we're just going to okay this. No, you guys coming out here, this is an act of resistance. You being here, you raising your voice, you coming out with the drums, you know, chanting, that's an act of resistance. And when Julian Assange was being taken out of the embassy, he said, resist. He said, UK resist. So he asks that of you guys. Do you understand? You have to keep resisting. You have to make your voices heard, because that's the one thing that they do not have. They don't have numbers. Yeah, they've got money, they've got bonds, they don't have numbers and power. Do you understand? They have no power in numbers. That belongs to all of you. So you have to keep coming out, you have to keep showing your support for Julian, and keep showing your support for Palestine. Free, free Julian Assange! Free, free Julian Assange! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to introduce the next speaker, Ben Westwood. Vivienne Westwood is a fantastic campaigner for this cause. Ben is a fantastic campaigner for this cause. Please give him a warm welcome.
Okay, just a quick note here, folks. When I went to download Russell's footage, I hit a snag at the part of Ben's speech. So this is actually WikiLeaks' footage of the same rally. And then after this, we'll switch back to Russell's footage. So this is why this looks a little different. But this is Ben Westwood, son of Vivienne Westwood.
Hello there. Yeah, exactly. My name is Ben Westwood. Unfortunately, my mother, Vivienne, is not here today. She was a close friend to Julian Assange and a long-term campaigner for a free press and against his extradition to the United States for the crime of revealing American war crimes, which included torturing prisoners of war and shooting unarmed civilians, not to mention revealing that the CIA can spy on you through your TV and smartphones. Julian is a lovely man. I've met him. He's a human being, revealing the truth for us all. He is a real hero. Julian has been in Belmarsh maximum security prison for nearly 5 years now, and he got married to his partner Stella Assange there. But Julian wasn't allowed to be shown in his Vivienne Westwood kilt, wedding kilt, because you could see his painfully thin legs brought about by his treatment, which UN Special Rapporteur Niels Mesler has described as torture. Unfortunately, this issue is not just about the injustice perpetrated to Julian. This is about our collective democratic right to real facts and truth. In a true democracy, the people need unrestricted access to facts and information in order to make informed choices. As Julian has said, the aim of war is not to win it, it's to have a never-ending war. War is a great way to launder the public's money into private hands and to maintain sources of cheap natural resources and cheap human labour for the prophet God. Afghanistan and Iraq were great successes for them. And now it's Ukraine, Gaza, and the next project, China. Loads of money rolling in, not to mention for the Western contractors awarded the contracts to repair the damage caused. The fact that Julian is being charged with the crime of espionage is very telling. During times of war, public information can be restricted. Are we at war? The US has been conducting one war after another continuously since the end of the Second World War. Now they are trying to step into our country's law. If this appeal fails, America can disregard the laws of any other countries. Why is our government disregarding our own laws to suit America? What happened to Magna Carta? What happened to habeas corpus? Now I feel even more disgusted to be British. What are you doing to our country?
Now, I'm sure that you've all been waiting to hear from Stella Assange about her impressions, both about what's happened in the court and about what we should do next. So please do give her a very warm welcome. She's been through the hell of that court case for the last two days, and she wants to be with you here tonight. Stella Assange.
Wow, you guys are amazing. Not just the turnout this evening coming here to Downing Street, but also over the past 48 hours. It's been incredible. Every time I got to court, I was greeted by this incredible, supportive crowd that was cheering us on, and I told Julian all about how much support he has, and also how much attention the media has given this case this time around. The world is watching. And finally, there's a realization about what this is really about, which is an attack on the truth, an attack on the public's right to know, and a country's attempt to further their impunity and their cover-ups and continue to kill with impunity without the threat of a media that will scrutinize them, of a public that will demand change. That cannot stand. Everything turns on the outcome of this case. Whether states can criminalize journalism and put journalists in prison like they've been doing in the UK with an Australian citizen, a publisher who's won many, many awards for his journalism, and they've stuck him in the deepest, darkest hole of the UK prison system, and the US threatens to put him in the deepest, darkest hole of the US prison system for 175 years. Shame. Julian's imprisonment is a result of people with too much power who lost the plot, who got power thirsty and are guilty. They know they're guilty and they want to continue to live their lives without any consequences for the crimes they've committed. This case is about whether state crimes can continue unpunished, unscrutinized. Julian's freedom is the only antidote. We don't have a decision today. Julian's life is at severe risk every single day he is in prison. He is a political prisoner. He is the world's most famous political prisoner. We know what happened to the other most famous political prisoner last week. That cannot happen to Julian. It cannot be allowed to happen. The world is watching. Julian has to be freed. Now, whatever happens in the coming days, we can't know, but we can know that we will be there for Julian and be there for our own democracy, our own future, our own ability to change policy, to change decisions, to change governments. Because if there's no scrutiny, we can't be informed. We can't be able to change, make an informed decision about who we elect. Our rights are at stake, but Julian's life is at stake. If he is extradited, he will lose his life. He will be killed. He will be killed by the country that has been plotting his assassination. And the court heard how the United States, under the previous administration, which may be the next administration, had plotted to assassinate him, who had plotted to poison him, who had plotted to kidnap him, who had plotted to rendition him. Shame. Shame on those who put journalists in prison. Shame on those who murder journalists. Shame on those who are afraid of the truth. That's not a society I want to live in. We're better than that. The UK courts are also under scrutiny. They have heard about the murder plots against my husband. They are on notice that the country that is trying to extradite him has planned to murder him. They don't deny it. They just change the subject. The whole time we were in court, the other side somehow avoided to talk about what the documents Julian published revealed. They didn't talk about the war crimes. They didn't talk about the 15,000 civilian killings in Iraq that were revealed. They didn't talk about their torture and rendition program. They didn't talk about Guantanamo Bay. They simply changed the subject. Shame. This case is brought by criminals who want to maintain their impunity, who want to avoid the courts. They are the fugitives from justice, not Julian. Julian is justice. He is transparency. He is us. He is the public. And as long as Julian remains in prison, we're all in prison. And they are free. It cannot be. Free Assange! Free Assange! Free Assange! Be there for Julian. He would be there for you. He is there for you. He needs to be free. Free Assange!
And there is no one who's reported as effectively, has campaigned as effectively for Julian Assange as Craig Murray. Thank you, everyone. It's absolutely wonderful to see you all. And I want to start off by thanking you from the bottom of our hearts, all of you who have stood out in the cold and the rain this last 2 days to support Julian Assange. It's been a really, really fantastic effort. Thank you. And we are a community that shows the sort of democracy that Julian dreams of, where freedom of information empowers people and puts power back from the hands of the politicians into the hands of the people. And I see here people I have been seeing for more than 10 years, people who I saw standing in the cold and the wet outside the Ecuadorian embassy, people I saw day in, day night who have been campaigning. And it has not been without effect. We have turned around public opinion on Julian Assange and on this case. And we have done that to the extent that the establishment now have to listen. And yesterday and today in the court, I sat there in the courtroom, I wish you could all have been there, because
Firstly, Julian's legal team did a fantastic job. And secondly, I saw something I would not have said in 5 years of these legal processes. For the first time, I saw judges who were actually listening intelligently and paying attention to what the defense says. And we have done that. We have done that because they can no longer ignore us. They can no longer scorn us. And we heard, in a UK court, we heard Julian's defense outline the war crimes of the United States. We heard lawyers, eminent KCs, speak to the bench and talk of massacre, and talk of torture, and talk of drone killings, and talk of killings of journalists, and talk of systematic war crimes committed by the United States and its allies, and what Julian has done to expose that. You know, yesterday in the United Nations, the United States vetoed a ceasefire resolution on Gaza, and the United Kingdom, as its cowardly little henchman, abstained alongside it. And we are fighting the same thing. We have here the United States trying to destroy Julian Assange, and the United Kingdom as its cowardly little henchman, keeping him in Belmarsh jail. We will not stand for it. This will not last. It is essential to the freedom of all of us that Julian is released, because he stands for freedom of information and for the right of people to know what governments are secretly doing in their name and with their resources. We are fighting a noble battle, and it is a battle which is turning, and a battle which will win, and it's a battle fundamentally for the very kind of society we wish to live in. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Craig. And now, for the last speech of this evening, very pleased to welcome back to the podium the organiser of the Free Assange campaign in the United States, Vince DiStefano.
Thank you, John. Brothers and sisters, I stand before you in shame for the government that represents me. I wish to quote the words of President Joe Biden stated on May 3rd, World Press Freedom Day. Journalists, uncover the truth. Check the abuse of power. Demand transparency from those in power. They are indispensable to the functioning of democracy. He and his administration go forward and say that journalism is not a crime. Those words are ashes in their mouth. The utter hypocrisy of my government shines in that courtroom. And it is incumbent upon us, all of us, to say no to the hegemony of the United States, say no to the Biden administration, and say yes to the freedom of journalists and journalism around the world. Julian must be free! Free Assange! Free Assange! Free Assange now! Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for demonstrating for the last 2 days. You've been outside that court for 2 days. You've done absolutely brilliantly. And nothing that we say from this platform is as important as you being there. Every speaker on this platform is simply a mirror for the protesters and the demonstrators and the activists who are fighting to free Julian Assange. So stay strong, and stay mobilized, and stay fighting. And remember, One of the oldest slogans in the business of popular mobilization is educate, agitate, mobilize. Take that home with you, continue to do it, stay safe, stay fighting, solidarity.
Dissonance. You're live. I hope you're not going to lose your job.
I'm a Jimmy Dore fan. I've been watching you guys for the last few weeks.
Where are you watching us from?
Brussels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you're going live?
We are live. We're on X.
Hi.
Thank you. All right, folks. Well, I think that is it for now. Thank everybody who watched that marathon stream to end our coverage. I am planning to cover the Palestine rally on Saturday. I understand there's one going on tonight. I might go check out as well. And to our audience, hey, you did this. We're here because of you. Thank you so much for giving the support to Julian Assange and to the cause of press freedom. This is Russell Davila signing off from the beautiful and balmy UK.
All right, everybody. How about a round of applause for Russell Davila for getting that work done? Just got to unmute your mic there, Russell. Yeah, very, very well done. Very powerful speeches. Pretty big march. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, and that, I got to practice this technique covering the Palestine protests in New York. So if you watch that whole stream, which I don't know, was like an hour.
It's about an hour, 20 minutes. So we streamed that to Twitter, that march and the rally after. It was an hour and 20-minute stream. It's still up there.
Yeah, I basically walked a mile backwards because that's how you have to do that with these marches if you want to cover them from the front. So
Right.
basically, yeah, I'd like walked backwards. There's like 45 minutes of the front line where, and it's not just me, like all the photographers do that. All the film people do that. You just walk backwards for the whole thing.
Right.
Something that I kind of forgot about because when I spent real time in London when I was 20, my head was up my ass. I wasn't really interested in a lot of what I'm interested in now, or I didn't know how to go about researching it. But because America does not have a capital equivalent to London or Paris or Rome, which is more common, where your financial center, your political center, and your cultural center are all the same city. We have that split up, basically between New York and DC. You could argue LA and San Francisco carry some aspects of that. But really, London is like if you took New York and DC and combined them. So you get political activism in London more like what you would have in DC, while at the same time you also have the theater district and the financial center in the same place. So where we ended there, if you saw, they were doing that projection behind them when they were giving the speeches. So that's 10 Downing Street, the basically the White House, right, the home of the Prime Minister. And it's a few blocks from Parliament. So there were other protests going on there too. There were protests about the jab. There were people with tables set up about that, about gender medicine for children. Those were the same people. There were Ukrainians protesting, pro-Ukraine protesters. I filmed some of that. Maybe we'll drop that. Well, I'll definitely drop that footage on X.
Right.
I don't know if it belongs on here. I'll show it to you. And then, yeah, I wound up going to cover it. I mentioned it there. Yeah, 2 blocks away at Parliament, they were doing a ceasefire protest. So yeah, it's interesting to have all of that in one city. So, London really just has constant political activism going on, which is great. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be showing some of that ceasefire protest stuff on Sunday's show, for sure. Keep up the good work on Rumble Rant. Thank you. EJ Imagine says, I hope I didn't pay for that haircut. Well, Russell's haircut was good. You're talking about my haircut, I assume. But Russell got a good haircut. Russell,
Patrick. What am I going to do without Patrick?
Yeah, exactly. Here's £8 for a pint. Wanted to meet you, but a return train ticket's £28. London marches are bi-monthly. Duty is truly a news channel, not just talking heads. Bravo, and thank you both. Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's really exciting to have that evolution, to be able to evolve into doing real on-the-ground reporting.
Yeah.
It feels really good to be getting more directly involved in these causes and not just talking about them.
Yeah. I wonder how long until we get bitter that we don't get more views out of the videos. How long? How long before we get the chip on our shoulder for the next 5 years, and start hating on everybody who doesn't do this because.
Well, you almost turned back on the way to New Hampshire.
Right? Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I was really pissed off. I was at the Mermaid Day parade. I was complaining.
Yeah, exactly. Your breakfast is the best thing after hours for clubbing, drinking, and a greasy spoon. Soakage, tradition, drink, feck girl. Yeah, very, very good. Soakage? No, listen, I've nursed plenty of hangover in my day. Okay, you don't need a tray of watery baked beans to nurse a hangover.
It's like you took the core of what's good in an American breakfast and you thought, okay, so what kind of disgusting shit could you throw on top of that to ruin it?
Right.
That's the English breakfast. And also, dude, do you not have paper towels? What? They just fucking fry up the sausage and just fucking throw it on a plate, sliding around in the grease. Like, why? It's never occurred to you to dry off the sausage or the bacon before you serve it? Like, what the fuck? Like, Newton never in his experiments came across the prospect of drying bacon.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. Very good point. Sparky, thanks for the $10. Fish and chips are always a good bet, but I hear they're running short of oil to fry and other components, causing a shortage not dissimilar to the chicken wing shortage in America. Well, you don't need oil to make chicken wings if you bake them the way Pizza Hut does. There you go. There's a solution. Just run them through that conveyor belt oven, and boom, problem solved.
That's his weakness. They're gonna wind up with like black and white grainy abscam footage of people taking a leather satchel filled with chicken wings as a bribe. Pizza Hut's gonna hand it off to him.
Yeah, exactly. Dealt with 1990 Euro elites who were elderly and had a respect and affection for common people, not shared by their sociopathic children and grandchildren, to whom they would soon pass the run things torch. Let's give a cowbell to Sparky. Thank you, Sparky. Sparky's hitting us up quite a bit. Although by 1990, those Euro elites were almost completely isolated from the real world. They'd served World War II with common people. They also knew their servants and were interested in their families. Extra Bulla. There you go. Thank you, Sparky. Extra Bulla says the English start drinking alcohol at like 12, so that makes the food taste better. There's a bar in Parliament.
Something that I will say that's been...
It's not a bad theory, Bulla.
Well, something that's kind of interesting is, the idea of a restaurant as separate from a bar, you didn't, or an inn. You didn't have that until the mid-19th century, and of course, I'm sure you can guess which people initiated that concept. Go ahead, take a guess. What people would be most likely to invent fine dining?
I don't know.
The French.
The French. Oh yeah, of course.
French. Who else? So in America, and I assume in most places, restaurants and bars became pretty separate kind of things. But it didn't start out that way. It used to be by definition, if you were going to get something to eat, it was in a pub, very often in an inn with a pub and so on. In New York, Delmonico's was one of the first to imitate that French model, and we still have Delmonico's, interestingly, in its original location. But yeah, like going through England, I didn't have the education to really pick up on this when I was here when I was a kid. Yeah, like it just stayed that way. So the pubs are their restaurants.
Right.
With some exceptions, of course. Don't climb all over me, British people. No, it's not. But yeah, man, I mean, we don't really have this in America. Like, if there's food in a bar, it's bar food. Right? It's fucking, like, you can't get, like, a nice...
I mean, you have the gastropubs where you have, the combination
You do, but it's not part of our culture the way it is here.
Right, it's not the norm. Scott George, thanks for the $5. My family is shitly a bummer, and to this day call Assange a traitor to the U.S. Wow, there's no talking to them. MSNBC is their god. Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Mike, thanks for the $50. Cowbell for Mike. Beautiful. Thank you, Mike, very much. Proud to support you guys. Wish I could be there to support Julian. Too bad the Vanguard boys couldn't get their van across the...
What van?
Yeah, maybe they should buy a rowboat with what they saved for the van. They'll buy a rowboat and they could sail to London next time. That's cheaper.
Yeah, they could bring TYT's team of investigative reporters with them.
Yeah, the last of which was formerly laid off. By the way, they officially folded that division.
I heard that.
Yes. I mean, they never really had much of a division. I never saw any reporting, but
they took your money for that. And really, of any fundraising drive that TYT ever did, I almost gave money to that, and I am so glad that I didn't.
Yes, indeed. It was 1986 when Pizza Hut was the finest restaurant in London. By 1990, things were much better. I'm sure it's much, much better by now. Well, yeah, I mean, look, you have your food scene. Any major cosmopolitan city is going to have its own food scene. So like Russell said, you can get, good food there, but in New York, like Russell said, you walk into the average pizzeria, you can assume a baseline standard.
Quality.
Right. It's not like that. It's not like that in a lot of cities around the world, but especially London, it seems. Aina Lam, 1976. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Thank you for your support. Appreciate that very much. By the way, folks, I am going to be on Nick at Night with our friend Nick Cruz on RBN at 9 p.m. this evening. So another doubleheader for me, a day-night doubleheader for Keaton. So make sure you tune into RBN 9 p.m. Eastern this evening. I'll be hanging out with our friend Nick. All right, let's do a few segments. Pizza Hut killed the Soviet Union. We got a few segments that we're going to do in addition to what we've already done here. This first one is Day X related. Remember when Tucker Carlson visited Stella Assange a few weeks back? He didn't really drop much on it. We saw some pictures that he was making a visit out there, but we didn't see much of it at the time. Well, he did interview Stella during the Day X hearings, but here is his introduction to that interview, which we're going to play here. Here's Tucker, who dropped this on Twitter yesterday evening.
Assange has been locked away. Julian Assange has been locked away in one place or another for more than a decade. Julian Assange is so despised by elements within the permanent U.S. government that at one point, CIA Director Mike Pompeo discussed murdering him in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he was seeking asylum. Mike Pompeo has never been charged for that, which is a crime. Unelected bureaucrats can't just murder people they don't like. And he probably never will be charged with a crime. Virtually the entire ruling class in Washington is opposed to Julian Assange. And that's the reason that he has sat for years now in Belmarsh prison in London. Keep in mind, Julian Assange has not been charged with a crime in Great Britain, and yet he's being held there. So this fall, we went to Belmarsh and we asked Julian Assange, why do you think you're being held as the most wanted man in America without ever being charged with a real crime? Here's what he told us. We talked about why he is in prison, and my first question to him was, what do you think this is actually about, since you haven't been accused of a crime? And he said something that really struck me, and I think having spent my life in Washington is absolutely right. He said he first became famous when WikiLeaks published documents and videos that the U.S. government had kept secret from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were gravely embarrassing to the Pentagon. But that wasn't the red line. The red line was several years later when WikiLeaks published information about surveillance by the CIA. And so I asked him directly, are you aware of anyone being harmed or killed on the basis of information that he published? He said, of course not. And he said it in a sincere way. Like, by the way, I think if people were killed because of his publishing, because of the stories that he put online, he would feel bad about it. I mean, he seems like a humane person. He withheld information about CIA because he didn't want to get people hurt. He famously published the contents of Hillary Clinton's email account. I asked him, when you published these emails, did you realize how powerful Hillary Clinton was? And we had a conversation about that, and I said, looking back, do you regret doing that? He goes, honestly, it was fun.
You saw they both cracked a smile there. Isn't it amazing how even under such dark circumstances, the plight of Hillary Clinton just brings so much joy to people's hearts? Like, it just warms the heart, even in these very dark times. Look at them both sharing a smirk at, yeah, well, we really fucked up Hillary Clinton's life. It's all worth it for that, right? And it is. You can see. It's just, it's beautiful. Like, thinking of what a waste her life was. She spent all of her adult years, almost all of her adult years, covering up for the sexual crimes of her husband, thinking she could ride his coattails to power. And she was too untalented to even do that. And so even in such a serious and dark and dire situation, they can both share a little smirk. Well, it was fun fucking with Hillary, wasn't it? Indeed it was.
Conversation about that, and I said, looking back,
all those herpes outbreaks for nothing.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Do you regret doing that? He goes, honestly, it was fun. You'll notice that Julian Assange was not in that clip. That was a recap of our conversation with Julian Assange, and the reason we did that was they wouldn't allow us to interview him on camera. So not only are they holding him, they hope until he dies, in a maximum security prison, but they're also preventing him from telling his own story to the world. All of this is a crime. Every person running for president of the United States should be forced to answer the question, will you pardon Julian Assange if he ever winds up on American soil? So far, no one has been forced to answer that question. We hope that will change.
Okay, so for all of the liberal and even some more genuinely left-wing media people who have a problem with Tucker Carlson and who have a problem with channels like ours and Jimmy's who give props to Tucker Carlson, maybe worry less about Tucker Carlson and less about us who give him credit. Maybe worry a little bit more about doing your fucking job. Because Russell, did you see anybody from CNN there outside the royal courts? Anybody from NBC, ABC, CBS? No. Okay, so if he's the only one who's going to do his fucking job, then yeah, we're going to give him credit. Where do you hear anybody else, any other mainstream journalist who came from the TV world saying every presidential candidate should be asked where they stand on this issue? Have you heard that from anyone in the mainstream media? I haven't even heard that from most people in independent media.
Yeah, where's Chris Hayes?
Right.
Where's Anderson Cooper? Where's Van Jones, for that matter? Where are these fucking people? They're journalists. Right. They're journalists. This is the most important case for freedom of the press, perhaps in the history of the country. Certainly amongst them. And this is happening in your lifetime. Where the fuck are these people? Nowhere to be seen. The major outlets you saw were European. Actually, I didn't even see the BBC. I'm not going to say they weren't there. I never saw them. I saw the logos for like Sky
News, which is the Australian.
And that's
channel.
Australian.
Yeah.
I saw Sky. I saw the CBC, which is Canadian. And then, the only major outlets that I saw were European. I didn't see any of the major American networks represented anywhere.
Yeah, no. CNN did one ridiculous segment where they pretended it was news that
the AP. I saw the
Julian.
AP.
Yeah, the AP. Right. But CNN did this ridiculous segment, which Misty and I covered on the last show, where they acted like it was this new extraordinary accusation that the Julian team made that the CIA under Pompeo tried to assassinate Julian Assange. That was reported 2.5 years ago in Yahoo News, right? So they acted like, well, this is a new accusation. It's explosive. We have to vet this. No, it's been reported and vetted. It's been pretty common knowledge, I thought. I don't know, not that CNN is in the news business or anything, but that was one piece that they did. They did, to their credit, did about a 5-minute interview with Rebecca from Reporters Without Borders, who was on scene there. Other than that, nothing. It wasn't on the websites of any of these mainstream channels. We have not seen anything. And a lot of these mainstream outlets like the Times and the Post and the Guardian, they've done their little virtue signal where they wrote their op-eds with the editorial boards. Yeah, we think you should be freed. Okay, so if you think you should be freed and you're in the journalism business, you must think it's important enough to actually send a team there for this. But no. And so it's left to Tucker Carlson, who, you know, whatever you think of him, takes his job as a journalist seriously enough to cover it and publish an interview with Julian's wife on the second day of the hearing.
And as a result, you are, if anything, if you don't like Tucker Carlson's views, if you don't like his politics, well, what do you think the result is of leaving the entire field of legitimate journalism to him?
Right.
In terms of high profile figures. Of course, there are a lot of other people in our space who are covering things like this, but none with Tucker Carlson's visibility. You're leaving that to him. So, okay, so now people are who might not even be sure what their politics are, but they're interested in the Assange issue, maybe a couple of other issues. Now they start listening to Tucker Carlson on other things that maybe you don't like. Maybe they listen to his Viktor Orban interview and say, hey, you know, those are some good ideas. Well, why wouldn't they?
Right.
Why wouldn't they? You're not offering them meaningful news coverage, and Tucker Carlson is.
No, you got these idiots. The U.S. press is obsessed with some golden sneakers that Trump tried to sell or something. Like, I don't even know what the fuck that's about.
All the libs.
Apparently that's hilarious. I don't even know what it is. It's so unimportant. I mean, how embarrassing is it that under these circumstances where you have your own party so desperate to get Ukraine funding through that they are willing to derail all these other objectives to fund a war that's lost, it's already slaughtered hundreds of thousands of people. You have a genocide in Gaza going on that Biden is funding, and you have this case going on. You have three just gut-wrenching, monumentally important stories going on at once, and you're carrying on about fucking sneakers that Donald Trump is trying to hawk to pay for legal fees or whatever the fuck the story is. Like, aren't you embarrassed that that's what you think about and that's what you post about and that's what you joke about and laugh about? Isn't that fucking embarrassing? Don't you realize what a pathetic worm you are, that that's all you are capable of giving a shit about in severe times such as these? It's just so sickening. It's just like... This is why I don't do personal Facebook anymore. Like, I've blocked all my friends on Facebook. I post pictures of my kids from time to time. I mean, I used to use it to promote the show. Now we're pretty much off of it for that also. But, like, I can't do it anymore. I can't. Because the more I'm exposed to these people, the more I would just not be able to associate with them at all.
Yeah.
And some of them cook a decent meal on Thanksgiving, so I don't want to totally burn the bridge.
All right, so yeah, this is really the difference between me and you. You're actually, a lot of people don't realize this, but if you've watched the show long enough, you will. Keaton is more of a hothead than I am at the end of the day, but I'm much more of a troll than Keaton is. Keaton does not get off on trolling people. Keaton, faced with a trolling situation, will usually walk away.
Right.
And very often he sees me dig in on things like that. He'll be like, leave it alone. There's no upside. There's no upside. Just leave it alone. So I am still on Facebook, partly to troll the people you're talking about. Like, that's not a bug for me. That's a feature of being on there to make those people's fucking heads explode.
Well, I'm nervous because, you know, like we've been doing, since a lot of our families dispersed, some of it's on New York, some of it's on the West Coast, we've been doing these virtual Passover Seders the past few years. We kind of started doing it during COVID, and then we just kept it going because it's, you know, we're all over the country anyway. And so we're probably going to have one this year, and I'm a little nervous to join because someone starts mouthing off with that Zionist shit, they're going to hear it from me, and it's going to be a problem. Like, I'm not just going to let that go. There are certain things, like, yeah, if you're joking about sneakers, I'll give you a fake laugh. Yeah, good one. You fucking moron. But whatever. You know, I could let that pass. The Israel stuff, no. Like, that's going to be an issue if it comes up.
Well, at Christmas, you know, I knew I was going to face some of that, and I swore to myself I wasn't going to take the bait, and I took it at one point, and for about 10 minutes that night was taking a bad turn, and I was like, stop,
right,
stop, it's fucking Christmas.
Yeah,
you do not need to express everything that you think to everyone you talk to.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Shut the fuck up. All right, it's Christmas. You're a guest. Shut up. Don't ruin Christmas for everybody.
Exactly.
There are children here. For God's
Well, this is why I'm worried
sake.
about Passover, because it's a virtual event. So I'm not a guest. I'm not an imposition. I could just close the screen if we have a falling out. So that makes me more tempted to dig in. But anyway, we'll see how that goes.
Oh, and just before I forget, since we're talking about people who aren't there, because I saw some of this in the chat, and they're absolutely right. Where are these fucking celebrities? These celebrities who love to show up to every fucking red carpet charity event that is not going to threaten anybody with real power. Where's Paul? Where's Sir Paul? Where's Sir Paul? He's such a big activist, right? I didn't see Paul McCartney there. I didn't say Bono. Goes without saying, but
right.
Where are these people? Where are these people, man? You got some fucking. Where's Sir Elton? Where's Sir Elton? Big fucking activist. Where is he with his fucking Karl Lagerfeld fucking logo bullshit? Where the fuck is he? Where the fuck is he? Nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, they're all over, you know, and any kind of cause that doesn't cost them anything.
Right, exactly. Well, exactly. This comes with a cost.
Climate change is very bad.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, you're fucking brave, man. You really.
Well, that's why I'm impressed with Vivian Westwood, because, you know, that is a posh high-end store that sells clothes to some, you know, pretty cosmopolitan, influential people. It's in that song, the Gwen Stefani song, Rich Girl. She mentions that in there. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, they deal with people like that. You know, it's like a John Varvatos, right? Like, could you imagine John Varvatos putting free Assange in their window? No, like it's very rare that any kind of like high end brand will put themselves out there like that. So yeah, good on them for doing that, for sure. All right, let's take some super chats here. Pete Sweet, Nader preached it takes just 1% of people to change things. Keep up the 1% resistance. Worked for Vietnam War. Agitate, mobilize, organize. Thank you, Pete. So we appreciate that. Astonishing but surprising fact, says Sparky.
Before they broke him.
Yeah. Rishi Sunak's school offered no history courses. Tabula Rasa Prime Minister makes for an easy puppet. Thank you, Sparky. Nicole, thanks for the $10. Keaton will have a full beard and tons of hair in 2 weeks. Just wait. Must have been that vaccine. I've grown facial hair very quickly my whole life. When I was in high school, I played Cinderella's father in Into the Woods. It was like a glorified walk-on role, but that's a brilliant play. I love that play, and you know, they envisioned Cinderella's father as like a belligerent drunk. And so I decided, if I'm going to play a belligerent drunk and I have this baby face, because if you think I'm baby face now, imagine what I looked like when I was 17 or whenever that was. I figured I should grow a beard. And I had never even tried to grow a beard. I had always just shaved. But like, all right, I'll grow a beard. And within 3 weeks, yeah, my face was like this. I've always just grown facial hair very quickly.
And they stopped calling him Low T Keaton after that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that dispelled all the rumors. Grilled wing.
And I did I just want to respond to this. I did not forget Roger Waters, but you know, man, with Roger, I give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a scheduling conflict, because it's not like that guy's not taking stands that cost him something.
Well, he at least put out some content about it. Like, he dropped some videos. Like, if you couldn't be there, at least do something. I mean, Tucker wasn't there, but he put out a video at least. You know, you do something. I mean, Jesus. Thomas Richardson, grilled wings are superior to fried. Thanks, guys. Free Assange. Yeah, grilled wings, good too. Good too. Dig that. Gene Jackson, thanks for the $5. The lady with the purple hair, this trial is a farce placard. Oh, you were there? Is that Gene Jackson?
Yeah. Right, I recorded her. She's definitely in one of the live streams.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll find
no, hang on. Did she not? No, she was good with being on camera. I'm almost positive I got her on camera.
Okay, there was someone who didn't want to be there?
There was a friend of hers who didn't want to be, and I
Got
made
it.
sure
Okay.
not to film.
Got it. We will be dropping some more stuff because we have tons more stuff. So we'll be dropping some more stuff on YouTube and on Twitter as well. Sushimi Seductions. Thanks for the 50 pounds. Let's give Sushimi a cowbell ring.
That's more than that's. Yeah, the exchange rate is high again. It was pretty good for a while.
Yeah, so that's an even bigger donation for us. Thank you, Sushimi Pound. Sushimi Seductions.
I think that's like 65, 70 or something.
Try Franco Manca or Pizza Pilgrims. Napoli pizza in London better than NYC pie. Latter too greasy. Please use this money to buy a mic to interview peeps on the streets.
You know, it's funny you say that because I saw all kinds of technology I didn't know existed. The best one was he was interviewing me with Vincent DiStefano, and it was for Stella was doing like a Telegram stream, I think. Okay, so there's a wireless lavalier for iPhone, because what she had was like the signal was plugged in here, and then there was like a wireless lavalier part you could clip to the interviewee. So I'm going to look into that. That would be perfect for our needs for these kinds of on the street interviews.
Yeah, that will be good. That will be good.
I didn't know that existed.
Okay, we'll take some more super chats and Rumble rants in a few minutes, but we have two more segments to do before we let you guys go here on this Thursday. This was alluded to on the streets of the Day X hearings. There was another ceasefire resolution at the UN that was vetoed by the United States. U.S. vetoes United Nations resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. This report from CBS News. The United States on Tuesday vetoed an Arab-backed and widely supported UN resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war in the embattled Gaza Strip, saying it would interfere with negotiations on a deal to free hostages abducted in Israel. The vote in the 15-member Security Council was 13-1, with the United Kingdom abstaining. So you had 13 vote for a ceasefire, the UK abstained, and we were once again the lone no vote, reflecting the strong support from countries around the globe for ending the more than 4-month war.
That's when you know your country is on the right side of history.
Yes, yeah. Well, same thing. I mean, they made that point.
Repeatedly blocking, the only one repeatedly blocking a ceasefire of a genocidal war with a horrific civilian body count.
Yep, and it's a very similar dynamic to what's going on in the Julian Assange case, as some of the speakers at Day X mentioned. More than once, you heard people saying, you have a ceasefire resolution at the UN. The United States is saying no, and the UK is being their nice little puppy dog by voting present. Same situation here. The US is pressing charges. The UK is not pressing charges, but they're doing our work for us, holding them there. Right? It was the third U.S. veto of a Security Council resolution demanding a ceasefire in Gaza, and came a day after the United States circulated a rival resolution that would support a temporary ceasefire in Gaza linked to the release of all hostages and call for the lifting of all restrictions on the delivery of humanitarian aid. So that's our terms. We want a temporary ceasefire in exchange for a full hostage release. A full hostage release was on the table in exchange for a permanent ceasefire. You think you're going to get all your hostages back for a week or a month or 2 months, and then the bombing is going to continue? Permanent ceasefire is the terms that have to be agreed on, obviously. Before the vote, Algeria's UN ambassador Amar Benjama, the Arab representative on the council, said, "This resolution stands for truth and humanity, standing against the advocates for murder and hatred." Yes, a vote in favor of this draft resolution is a support to the Palestinians' right to life, he said. Conversely, voting against it implies an endorsement of the brutal violence and collective punishment inflicted against them. U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield said the United States understands the Council's desire for urgent action, but believes the resolution would negatively impact sensitive negotiations on a hostage deal and pause fighting for at least 6 weeks. If that happens, we can take the time to build a more enduring peace, she said. Let's hear from Linda Thomas Greenfield at the UN.
Leading with the vote today was wishful and irresponsible. And so while we cannot support a resolution that would put sensitive negotiations in jeopardy, we look forward to engaging on a text that we believe will address so many of the concerns we all share, a text that can and should be adopted by the Council so that we can have a temporary ceasefire as soon as practicable, based on the formula of all hostages being released. This temporary ceasefire is critical to getting aid into the hands of Palestinian civilians who desperately need it. We should look towards this text so that we can finally condemn Hamas for their horrific
Yeah, there hasn't been
attacks
enough of that.
on October 7th, which set this conflict into motion.
If I had gotten a personal interview with Stella, that was going to be my first question. Do you condemn Hamas?
Yeah, that was the first question to her, indeed. Something we haven't really heard enough of. Here she is. File this under poor word choice of the year. Early frontrunner for poorest choice of words at any press conference behind any microphone this year.
Intend to do this the right way so that we can create the right conditions for a safer, more peaceful future. And we will continue to actively engage in the hard work of direct diplomacy on the ground until we reach a final solution.
Great. Nice one
We
there.
intend
Real
to
nice.
do
Nice one. What was that?
Diplomacy on the ground until we reach a final solution.
Excellent work. Excellent work. You know, we've been coming off kind of insensitive and callous as a country until then. So it was great that you were able to put things so that way.
We reach a final solution.
Nice.
Oh boy.
I mean, between this and the Assange stuff and the Ukraine stuff, I mean, Claire Daly talked about this. Mick Wallace talked about this outside the Day X hearings. What an embarrassing time to be from the U.S. and the U.K. I mean, you see where global sentiment has gone. By the way, we didn't cover this, but good on Lula for saying what he said and pulling his ambassador to Israel. We're going to cover that on Sunday. We haven't forgotten about that.
And this is something we've been saying from the beginning, that's what you're going to start to see. You're going to start to see people breaking off diplomatic relations with Israel. You're going to see more and more boycotts, more and more cancellation of trade deals, which Ireland and Spain are trying to push in the EU right now, arguing that the terms of their trade deals do not allow for trade with a country doing what Israel is doing, committing acts of genocide. That's whatever the outcome is in Gaza, and sadly, I think we can see what it's going to be. They're going to turn it into the surface of the moon, and they're going to scatter the population to the surrounding countries through U.S. bribery and pressure. That's what I would imagine is going to happen to Gaza. But Israel, as a member of the family of nations, is over.
Yep, I agree. And that's what we've said. We've been on that page for quite a while. Scott George, thanks for the $5. When the world's getting you down, play a Firesign Theater album. At the end, if you didn't laugh, play another one. Thank you, Scott George. Make no mistake, says David Bozick. Thank you for the $5. All it would take for Assange to be freed is one call from Hillary Clinton to the State Department. She is at the heart of this.
Well, I would remind you that the prosecution was undertaken by the Trump administration. And that's something I know we haven't, under the seriousness of the circumstances, when we were interviewing Stella on Jimmy's show, we didn't want to get too into the partisan stuff. But that is something, if we ever get to interview her in the future, I'd really like to point out and ask her thoughts about, because you have so many people that misinterpret Trump as some kind of fighter against the status quo. And I mean, sure, he is, in the sense that he just straight out says the shit that we're doing, right? But that's not doing it. Saying, yeah, we're there for the oil isn't the same thing as saying we're going to stop going into countries to steal their oil. He didn't say that. He just said, yeah, we're taking their oil. So,
we were so close. Venezuela was going to be destroyed and we were going to steal all the oil. He said that into a microphone.
Right. So I mean, I guess that's refreshing in a way, but he didn't pardon Assange. It was on his watch. Okay, I will grant you Donald Trump didn't really pay attention, I would say, to 95% of what the fuck was going on in his administration. He just liked the showmanship of being president for the most part. He liked to give speeches.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm not going to say he was directly responsible for Pompeo trying to whack Assange. You probably didn't even hear about it. But all that being said, hey man, he didn't pardon him either, right?
Yeah, and if you're a serious person,
he
you
definitely
vet your,
heard about that.
Of course. Well, yeah, obviously. And if you're a serious person, you vet your team. You don't surround yourself with people like that. How does John Bolton even get in the door? How does John Bolton even get in the door? I know he fired him. They had a falling out. But, like, how does it even cross your mind?
Right.
If you have any anti-war politics whatsoever, to bring that guy into your inner circle.
Right. All this mythologizing of Trump is by people who want to smash the establishment. Fucking guy gave tax breaks to hedge fund managers. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, stylistically, he's fun. He's a lot more fun. But he basically gave these goons everything they wanted. His change was really stylistic. Yes, do I think that he was more hesitant about getting into new wars than the presidents we've had in a couple of generations? Yeah, I have my own beliefs about why that is. I think partly he sees war as wasteful. I think also he was disturbed, because being a fucking New York real estate scumbag is one thing. Being a deep state scumbag is another. I think the level of scumbaggery involved in just killing people like that, I think it got to him. I think it bothered him. Based on an anecdote in Bob Woodward's reporting about the early days of his White House and being very upset about calling families that had lost children, that really got to him. So ever since I've thought that. But yeah, I mean, that's why we did that segment on Jimmy's show too about, Trump is a thorn in the side of the Pentagon. He gave them, his last year in office, he gave them more money than they asked for.
Right. Indeed.
They asked for what? $335 billion. He gave them $350 billion, I think.
Yeah, I forget what the numbers are. But yeah, you put that together, so you would know better than me. Sean Jepson, thanks for the $4.99. A lot of Euro dissidents here. Seeing a lot of pound signs there. Thank you guys for watching, and it was great to meet you all out there. The most consumed restaurant food here is the Weatherspoons Food Club. If you want a true taste of England on every level, try it. Fish and chips tomorrow.
Is that a suggestion or a threat?
Or an invitation? Are you going to be there tomorrow?
A true taste of England on every level.
How bad should I feel for having voted for Biden? It feels as though I have blood on my hands. Well, that's for you, sir. I mean, like I said, at the time, I wasn't fighting with people over who to vote. I did that in 2016. I wasn't going to do that again. I wasn't going to go out there saying, you have to boycott the ticket, you have to do this and that. Now I will. Because of everything that's happened. But,
hey, man,
look, people change, man. We all make mistakes.
We all have to hit rock bottom in our own time.
Yeah, and everybody's
as I have admitted on the show, and this is the most embarrassing thing I can admit in a lifetime with no shortage of slights, humiliations, coming up short. I described Rachel Maddow at one point in my life as the person I most wanted to have a beer with.
Yeah, there you go. So if Russ can come back from that, you can come back from this. Hang in there. Yep. Similar, that there is also apparent shortage of chicken wings, baked or otherwise, not necessarily for the same ostensible reason. Likely globalists setting up the void to fill with bugs. I'll have to get a stockpile going. Thanks for the heads up. Luis De La Cruz, I find your show to be safe and effective. Thank you, Luis De La Cruz. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Keaton says, Sparky, don't listen to the haters. Your haircut's much better than the disheveled look. Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's better too. And it's not going to look this short in a couple of weeks. Like when I go get a haircut,
his
understand,
hair grows
folks,
out fast.
My hair grows very fast. So if I go and pay,
look at all these kids, man. He's got fucking testosterone coming out of his nose, his ears, bursting with teeth.
Exactly. Hi, T. Keaton. So
fucking
look,
he transed one of his nieces just by hanging around her too much.
Yeah, right. Exactly. If I go and spend $30 on a haircut, and I say, yeah, just trim it, that's a waste of money because it's going to be just as long as it was before I cut it in a couple of weeks. And there are some people who go and get haircuts every 2 weeks. I'm not one of those people. It's a waste of time and a waste of money, in my opinion. So I'd rather cut it a little shorter than I want it. So this way I get a little extra time out of it. You know, to me, that's worth it. And so, yes, thank you, Sparky. All righty. You there, Russell? You're starting to buffer a little bit. That's all right. We got one more segment. We can hustle through.
Good?
It's all right. You're good. You're good. You're a little blurry, but that's all right. We'll make it work. Make it work. We got one more segment. All right, folks. It's been an intense week. A lot of bad news in the world. It's a very emotionally intense situation. What's going on at the Day X hearings, and so we know we've been hitting you hard with a lot of downer content recently, and so we thought, let's lighten the mood by going to one of the funniest Morning Joe segments in recent memory, where they say that because the Republicans are holding up Ukraine money, they have fallen to communism. Yes, you heard that correctly. The Republicans are now soft on communism, according to Joe Scarborough and MSNBC. Let's take a look.
And the signals that we send are frightening. At the beginning of our support for Ukraine, Mika, there were people on the far left that would mock and ridicule the argument that China was watching. Mm-hmm. That if we didn't support Russia, if we didn't push back on Russia, if we didn't support Ukraine, that not only would Putin get that message and keep going into Ukraine and going to the Balkan states, but Xi would get the message and he would go into Taiwan. He wants to go into Taiwan. And if America lost its will to support people fighting for their own freedom.
Yeah.
There were people on the far left who didn't want to start World Wars III and IV at the same time. There were people on the far left who were a little hesitant to saber rattle with two nuclear armed powers at the same time. Like, the framing of this as if we are the unreasonable ones for not following you idiots into what? War 85 that you've advocated for in your 55 years on Earth, or however the fuck old this guy is. Like, yeah, we're the ones being unreasonable. We're the ones on the fringe because we didn't go along with this.
All right, Michelle Wolf's line about them is still my favorite description. It's like a Me Too that worked out.
Yeah, it's a Me Too that worked out. Yeah.
So
exactly.
when you watch these two, like they're doing a service. It's often been said that when there's bipartisan agreement, that's really when you have to worry.
Exactly.
Because they never agree on anything good. So theoretically, this show is kind of supposed to have a breaking points or the Hill thing going on, right? It's supposed to be a Robbie Bree kind of thing, right? Where she's supposed to be, well, you know, her father was a worked for Carter, you know, she's.
I think pre-Trump it had that kind of dynamics, and she was still marginally liberal, and he was, you know, a center-right conservative. Although he really wasn't a center-right conservative, he was pretty hard right. He was part of the Gingrich Revolution.
Which
but
by
now
then,
in Trump they're the same.
By then was center-right.
Right.
By that time, but you watch these two now, and it really shows you that there is an elite establishment opinion that it's not Democrat or Republican or right or left. They are the best representation of what the people who really rule you want you to believe.
Right. Yes, exactly. And they've said that, right? One of Mika's best quotes, most notable quotes, is something like, you know, they're trying to tell people what to think or how to think, and that's our job, right? That was the thing she actually let slip on air, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, that's not even an exaggeration. Okay, let's go back to the video.
The message would be sent. The message that she is getting right now from little Mike Johnson and Donald Trump, it's just devastating. And the message is this: Republicans, who for the past 50 years have been the main force to push back hard on communism.
Okay, all right. Hold on. I got to pause this a second, because before we get into this, where it gets even more crazy, I wanted to pause it at the word devastating. Their message to Xi is devastating. Devastating how? Devastating, in my view, is starting a war over Taiwan. That would be devastating, in my view. How exactly is what they're saying devastating? How is this policy of appeasement, as he would frame it, devastating? Like, what you're advocating for is devastating. How you could come on here and say this? You have got 500,000 casualties in Ukraine already, in a war that is lost and over. And this piece that they're doing is part of an overall media push to try and get this funding through, to see it through even further. To what end? We all know to what end. What, you just have a fucking bloodlust to get 50, 100,000 more people killed before we finally reach a deal? Like, devastating how?
Well, and when you look at people who are still propagandized into believing that we are the good guys on the world stage, even as the evidence becomes, it becomes harder and harder to forgive that level of ignorance, because the evidence is so clear. Like, what are you to make of it that every other member country voting on a ceasefire was for it, with the exception of our lapdog England, which even they were not willing to vote against it.
Russia and China both voted for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Right.
I don't know if you idiots knew that.
So how do you continue to believe this framing, which is your classic American framing? We are the good guys. We are acting on the world stage in the good. And all opposition to us is coming from shadowy people, people with bad motives, people who are evil. And you're expected never to look beyond that. They're backward, they're primitive, their governmental systems are not
The
as
communists,
advanced as we
the
are.
Republicans.
Well, this is where Morning Joe is a good measure of how desperate elites are becoming as their ability to manage the narrative slips away. Because when you can go on TV and start talking about how the Republicans have given in to communism, like, come on. That is just, you have to be so confident that you could basically tell your audience absolutely anything.
Yeah,
without
of course.
them ever questioning what you're saying, to say something like that.
Yep. All right, let's get to it.
Trump, it's just devastating. And the message is this: Republicans, who for the past 50 years have been the main force to push back hard on communism, they've surrendered to the communists. They've surrendered. Mike Johnson surrendered to the communists, to the ex-communists, to the wannabe communists. Mike Johnson surrendered. Donald Trump surrendered a long time ago to Vladimir Putin. Surrendered to Xi a long time ago. He has nothing but praise for Xi, for Kim Jong-un, these communist leaders, Mika. And that is a message that Xi is receiving loud and clear, that it's not just Donald Trump now. It is the Republican Party. Once the bulwark against communist aggression, it is the Republican Party, Ronald Reagan's old party, that is now collapsed.
It's completely gone, and this is a terrifying inflection point.
It is.
And for anybody who doesn't take it seriously or think the election doesn't matter or says, oh, he's not serious, you're out of your mind. At this point, you have to look at what's happening. You also, I mean, if you read the judge's judgment in the civil fraud trial, it talks about Trump's behavior not just being bad, not just being impossible to stop.
The civil fraud trial with no plaintiff except the activist attorney general of New York, who is delusional enough to think she's going to be the governor someday. The civil fraud trial, this is dangerous. This is horrible. Think about what you're doing. Think about, like, all of what's happening in the world. Look around the world. You have 30,000 dead in Gaza. You have 500,000 dead and injured in Ukraine, thanks to people who think like you fucking imbeciles. And we're supposed to think of the consequences of not following us further down this road. Because think of Donald Trump's behavior in the courtroom on a civil fraud trial with no plaintiff. I mean, how deluded and stupid do you have to be to watch this?
Things are going so well.
Yeah.
We don't want to change course now, people.
Yeah. Think about what you're doing. Think of how dangerous this is.
The bank testified on Trump's behalf.
Yes.
In the trial that they're talking about.
Yes, the bank said it all worked out fine. We'd love to do it again. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Cat was named Vagina. Matter says, oh, he's not serious. You're out of your mind at this point.
No.
You have to look at what's happening. You also, I mean, if you read the judge's judgment in the civil fraud trial, it talks about Trump's behavior not just being bad, not just being impossible to stop, being pathological. And so you have to ask the question, what is going on here?
Pathological is holding up every other government initiative, including the evil ones, including funding to Israel. Pathological is going all in for another $60 billion to Ukraine, the only effect of which will be to get tens of thousands of more people killed for no reason. That's pathological.
I sent this over to you. There was just another article about the situation with the Ukraine military. And Zelensky's trying to introduce a plan to recruit, I don't know, like 500,000 more people or something. Who are they going to be? Like, where are they getting these people from? Do they have a cloning vat? Where are they? Because the frontline average age, which it must have gone up by now. This is like 2 months ago. It was reported as 42. So where are they going to get these people from? Who are these? Were they graduating high school students? Where are you getting 500,000 more people from?
Yeah. No, just extraordinary.
He's absolutely doing something for himself or for Putin. It is the opposite of patriotism and opposite of dedication to this country.
Wow. But yeah, that's really one for the time capsule. That's even more cringe than I remember. I watched it before the show just to catch up, and I was like, man, watching it again? Yeah, that's even worse than I remember.
Well, and clearly, when you consider the alternative, we must support Trump's opponent.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah, right.
Now that's a guy who has all of his shit together.
Yeah. Wow. Just unbelievable.
That was a whole mess of crazy. That was just that is Stanley Tucci in the Hunger Games. Oh, the girl on fire! Like it's just such propaganda with no attempt to in any way make it credible anymore, which I guess fair enough, they know their audience. Anyone who hasn't figured out at this point that this is bullshit, yes, you can tell them anything. It's well known that the Chinese are from Alpha Centauri, and the Republicans have gone soft on Alpha Centauri. Yeah, no, I heard that once. Yeah,
yeah, right.
Like, what can't you tell these people?
No, you can tell them anything. Like I said earlier, you got them tweeting about sneakers now. I mean, if you could be concerned about that in these times, then yeah, you could be brainwashed into thinking about anything.
That's the lib sweet spot, man. Anything that allows them to feel superior, to mock. Look at these stupid people buying sneakers. Meanwhile, fucking, Meryl Streep could go up there and tell you to fucking, buy these sneakers to pay for puberty blockers. You'd fucking be out there in 5 seconds.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Nina left with less. Thanks for the $2, 2,000-pound diplomacy bomb piece. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Derek. America's idea for diversity, our UN representative, genocide and blackface. Yeah, some people have said that they trotted out a black woman to make those points.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, people have been saying that. Zach Boyles, thanks for the $9.99. Lucky me, wrapping up 28-hour shift, and you lot are beaming live. Thank you, Zach, and big up on that shift. Wow, that's a brutal one,
dude.
Yeah, that's rough.
I hope you like your job.
I hope you like it. Yes, indeed. That is brutal. Well, enjoy the time off. I caught one of yours last week and came up with at least 2 epic troll messages, but your tip comments were off, so you'll have to take my word for it. How are our tip comments? Oh, because I think that happens when you either don't monetize a stream, because you watched it on the replay, right? They didn't have the super thanks available. Yeah, fucking bastards. Sashimi Seductions, thanks for the 10 pounds. North Sea Restaurant in Bloomsbury. Bottomless chips, tartar, and ketchup. Different kinds of fish, even salmon and chips. It's in the knowledge. One of the 5K addresses cabbies have to memorize. All right, there you go. So you got another recommendation. Thank you very much, Sashimi Seductions. Appreciate that.
Gonna have to go back.
Postmodern Fungible, a safe and effective polita rock tune about the duopoly on my channel right here on the YouTube at Postmod Fungi Music, since Russ is so into music at all. Thank you. I will check it out.
You know, man, I saw some people doing like music written about Assange there, and yeah, when I go back into New York, I'm really gonna make an effort to try to find people doing art. I know Jose. I think for his first campaign event, did like a poetry reading. A revolution without dancing is a revolution not worth having. We have got to find a culture and arts component because it's just weird to have a political movement without that. It's very
Right.
strange. That doesn't work.
I agree. Okay, we'll go to Sparky. Thanks for the $5. Next time you guys hang out with Trump, ask him if he'll let Pompeo or a Pompeo-like figure lead him around by the nose again. Exactly. Unlike most politicians, Trump only cares about himself. Thank you, Sparky. We're going to go to some Rumble rants here. We got a few of these. Fantastic on-the-ground coverage, Russ. I hope you find some good food. I hear they have good curries. I'm glad to have DD to blame for my lack of productivity at work today. Well, thank you. Happy to be your excuse.
All right, I'm gonna answer this because we have a lot of new viewers and I haven't really covered this stuff much lately. There is no hate for trans people. The best interview we ever did on that subject was from Buck Angel, the first trans man ever to get testosterone in the state of California. There is a hatred for doing experimental medical treatments on children. Yes. Well, that was the first in New York State. There is a hatred for doing experimental psychological and physical medical treatments on children. And no, I am not shutting up about that until it stops. When it stops, I'll be very happy never to talk about it again.
I'm no DT fan, but what sets Trump apart from other leaders is that he can be affected by his base. Not always or consistently, but definitely more responsive than any other major political figure. To an extent. I mean, he does seem to be more conscious of his base's messages. But once again, there was a lot of pressure coming from his base. Tucker said, pardon Snowden, pardon Julian Assange. I mean, his base, exerted some pressure on that and did not happen. While the Pompeo kill Assange plan happened under Trump, I doubt he has a strong opinion either way. His opinion on CIA, however, maybe he'll commit to pardoning if we convince his base to demand it. Look, I don't think Biden has strong opinions on anything. I don't think Biden knows what year it is, all right? But we still call him Genocide Joe, right? So if we're going to keep it real, we got to keep it real. Like, being disengaged is not an excuse when you're the most powerful person on earth. It's your responsibility to be engaged and to actually take an interest in what's going on around you, right? So if we're gonna call Biden Genocide Joe, even though we all know it's President Blinken and Vice President Sullivan calling the shots, then you got to hold Trump to the same standard.
The buck stops there, right?
Exactly.
No, that's where, if you look at the course of this show, we attack Trump on the Assange thing, while at the same time acknowledging the Morning Joe Trump derangement syndrome and the insanity of representing that civil trial as not politically motivated. It's called nuance. We're comfortable with both points of view. We don't need to completely hate Donald Trump, and we don't need to side with fucking disgusting creeps like Joe and Mika who hate him either.
Right. Exactly. Oh, we almost forgot. But hey, I'm surprised you guys on Rumble didn't hold us to this, because I noticed this a while ago and I meant to do something about it. But we're at 731 live viewers on Rumble. Beautiful.
I'm in their country, man. It feels special to do Made in here.
Yeah, exactly. People without a sense of humor take the wrong people seriously. Thank you, Sparky. Folks, thank you very much for being here today. Big round of applause for Russell for his coverage of the Day X hearings. Round of applause in the chat. Put that there. And so we will be back on this channel on Sunday evening, 7 p.m. What's going on Sunday? Maybe, do you want to do a matinee Sunday? Because 7 p.m. is going to be like 1 in the morning your time. Maybe we could do a matinee Sunday.
12, right?
Yeah, midnight. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, so sign up to our Substack. See, we don't really know. We might be on at 7 p.m. Sunday. We might be on a little earlier. If you join our Substack, you could join for free. You still get the newsletter. So if you join as a paid member, you get access to all the perks we mentioned. But if you join our Substack for free, you get the newsletter. and that lets you you know when and where we're going to be live. So it's a very good resource for you. It's just an email list. You can join up for free, dudissidents.substack.com. As part of the free plan, you get articles when we drop them. You also get audio podcasts of all of the live streams that we do, and you get our newsletter telling you when and where we'll be live. That's going to become particularly important next week because we're going to start doing 4 shows a week when Russell is back. And so the 4th show, we're going to be experimenting with time slots to kind of see what works best. So please join our Substack because you will get a newsletter email when and where we're going to be live. Some of those 4th streams will be Rumble exclusives. No YouTube at all. Some of them. Not all of them, but some of them. All right. So
if we're covering a subject that is best kept on the other side of the wall.
Exactly. Then we'll just be there. So make sure you join our Substack. It's a free newsletter. It's very important that you stay in touch. And once again, if you want to help support projects like this, you can go to patreon.com/dudissidents and become a member. You can also join our Substack as a paid member. That helps us out tremendously. And you can join our locals, dudissidents.locals.com. If you're watching on Rumble, well, over 700 of you there now, you can click that join button underneath the screen and join our locals. Community perks are the same across all of those 3 supporter platforms. Got a couple last-minute super chats in here. Unlike most politicians, Trump is a narcissist. Thank you, Sparky. I think most politicians are narcissists. I do.
I'm going to assume he was being sarcastic.
Yeah. Josh Woods, thanks for the 10 pounds. This musician who Russ met
Josh.
in London.
Beautiful. Yeah, I ran into him a few times.
Nice. Would love to give Russ some, some art and satire for this dissident movement. And while we're at it, get Tom Lehrer back into making some satire as well. Some of you guys did send in headshots and resumes to our email. We will get back to you. Once Russell's back, we'll have a little more time. I know we always say, yeah, we'll have more time next week, and then something comes up next week. But this year got off to a hell of a start. We had the New Hampshire thing, we had the documentary to get out on Jose Vega, and then we had this. So it has been extraordinarily busy around here. So we are a little behind on our emails and our messages, but we'll get to them.
I am saying at this point, and this is the first time I'm saying this, so this is a reveal on the show. All right, so the way things are working out, where I'm kind of like, because Keaton fucking just keeps popping one kid after another out into this fucking overcrowded planet. So I'm the travel one. Yeah, I never planned on giving up my New York base. At this point, I'm probably for a while only going to be leaving town for assignment when I go out to Jimmy, when we go to Chicago, presumably. So yeah, I mean, New York is probably where we're going to focus efforts on art and that kind of thing. I want to be there also to cover the Jose campaign. I want to help to promote that a lot. So from March on, I will mostly be in the Big Apple.
There's a big Free Palestine rally in Washington Square Park on March 2nd, which is a Saturday. I might try and go down there for that.
That I won't be back for you.
Okay, I might try and go for that.
After March 12th, yeah, I'll only be leaving town on assignment or on like big trips, like next year when I plan on going to China.
Right.
And also we're going to be doing a live show in June, and that's going to take a lot of organizing. We decided June, right?
June, yeah, we are going to do June. And then there's something else in the works for June too that I think I'm allowed to talk about, but I'm not sure. So I'll mention it Sunday. I'll have to double check. But I'm pretty no, because Jimmy did mention this on his show the other day. Now that I mentioned it, Jimmy is going to put together a fundraiser for Jose in New York in June. And so,
I'll be able to be there. For
that. So Jose texted me. He wants to make a day of it. He wants to screen the documentary. He wants to do some other things at a venue for the day.
Oh, so you're going to come down?
Oh yeah, I'll come down for that. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we got 2 things going on in June.
That's gonna be what, the 5th time we're in the same place?
Yeah, something like that. I wasn't talking about
Some
Biden.
folks like to get away, take a holiday from the neighborhood.
It says, I wasn't talking about Biden. Thanks for the $5. I was saying maybe we can do better to court Trump supporters by convincing them freeing Assange is one of the most important issues. No, I get what you're saying. I think that's a good point. That's a fair point. It's always good to rally the people. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to give Trump an excuse by saying, well, he didn't know anything about it. It was just his CIA guy and his Secretary of State. Like, I mean, if you're not interested enough in what's going on around you, then you shouldn't be the most powerful person on the planet, right? That's all I was saying there. But no, it's a good idea. I take your point.
So, this whole we're non-binary. You know, we don't believe you have to choose one or the other of the fucking horrific options on offer.
Right. That'd be a good name for a new podcast. Politically non-binary. Politically non-conforming. Party non-conforming. That's an idea. Party non-conforming. I like that. That's got a nice ring.
Change the name of the post-duopoly show.
Yeah. There we go. We'll all dress in drag for it. Folks, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. One more round of applause to Russell putting in the work out there. Those were 2 very, very long days. For day 1, he literally got off the plane, checked into the Airbnb, and went right to the march. And then the second day...
1 hour sleep.
On 1 hour sleep. And then the second day was obviously huge between the morning rallies and then the post-rally march and post-rally speech outside of 10.
And then I did the Palestine protest.
And then the Palestine thing, which we'll have footage to play on Sunday. So, folks, like I said, sign up to the Substack, join the newsletter. We will be live again on Sunday. So enjoy the next couple of days here. I will be on RBN tonight. I'll be on Nick at Night with our friend Nick Cruz at 9 Eastern.
Ask him about the drag idea. That'll be worth just the clip.
Just a clip to get his live reaction. Yeah. I won't say anything until we're live. I'll be hanging out with our friend Nick Cruz on RBN this evening. So I'm sure I'll see a lot of you guys there. Everyone else, we'll see you back here on Sunday. Thank you very much for your support once again, folks. You guys are what made this happen. It's been a really terrific experience.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. What was the last non-troll thing Trump got his base? Good question. Not much results behind, aside from owning the libs, right? All right, folks. I'll see you on RBN later. Make sure you tune in 9 p.m. tonight. We'll see you all back here on this channel on Sunday. What, you lost a singing bowl?
No, I brought it with me. I just forgot to put it up here.
Oh. All right. Well, we could do a virtual singing bowl.
All right. We'll fake it for today.
Folks, until we see you next time, be safe, be well. Thank you very much. Courage.
That was so convincing.
Please clap.